Some new tour dates to tell you about: Long Beach, California, July 10th, Los Angeles, July 11th, Bethel, New York, July 31st, Albany, New York on August 1st, Las Vegas, Nevada, July 5th and 6th, Bangor, Maine, August 9th, Bend, Oregon, Spokane, Portland, Maine, and Oregon. A lot of places. Go check them out at theovon.com/TOUR. And thank you to anybody that's come out and support and seen the show. And just can't even believe it. And I'll see you guys there, baby. Praise God, baby gang. Today's guest is a documentarian, a journalist, an instigator of sorts. He has a new documentary that's trending right now on Netflix called Tell Them You Love Me. It's really fascinating if you haven't seen it. He's always splashing in the dark pools of society. And we're grateful for all his contributions over the years that have kept us entertained and intrigued and informed as well. Today's guest here from the United Kingdom is Mr. Louis Theroux.
Man, I like your voice.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'd like to speak like that.
Well, I think, it's interesting coming to London because you see where it started at. Mm-hmm. Coming to London is very much like going and looking at the roots of America.
Well, yeah, and the English language. And you probably know this, but they say Shakespeare, if he were alive today, would speak kind of like an Appalachian.
I feel like he'd probably be a rapper or something now.
He'd probably be a rapper, but he'd talk kind of like this.
Yeah, he'd be like, where the hoes at?
Yeah, because words like got, we say got, you say gotten in America, or fall, we say autumn. Those are, in Shakespeare, he talked kind of like, it's a lot of fun talking to you, Theo Von, because I'm kind of a stand-up comedian too.
Oh, so
But I make plays.
Yeah.
But there is different characters on stage talking and stuff.
Are you serious, William? That sounds really...
Yeah. I love words.
Yeah?
It feels weird talking to you. Like, it feels a little offensive, like I'm
No, I don't think so. Well,
you can hear everything that's wrong with what I'm doing, but to me it sounded perfect.
Well, it's funny because people will joke about a white accent that's kind of country, but they don't but if you do it about a black accent, it seems like it gets offensive,
Yeah, but I don't, I don't use terms obviously I don't use racial slurs, but I don't say white trash.
Yeah.
For example, and that sounds like maybe prissy, but I wouldn't use the term hillbilly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
I don't feel like maybe because I came from a position of something like a little bit of privilege in life, and it feels like you're looking down on people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's in the past 8 years, I would say, in the U.S., they made it so the only people they would make fun of anymore were kind of like poor white people or just white people kind of. Yeah. So they kind of stuck themselves in this place.
Yes.
I think it's one of the reasons why podcasting has had a rise over the years because it still kept this just freedom of we'll talk about whatever we feel like. We'll try to just be our normal selves.
And actually be loose and free. Yeah. I used to, in the 90s, I worked with, do you know who Michael Moore is, the documentary maker? So he was my mentor of a sort. Like, he gave me my first job on TV. I worked for a show called TV Nation in the mid-90s. It was on NBC and then it was on Fox. But it felt like, because it was a left-wing, kind of politically engaged, but it felt like the one thing we were okay, we as a collective on the show, with making fun of was kind of white Southerners.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're going to channel all that into just making fun of Billy Joel and Billy Bob. And I always slightly felt like maybe this isn't okay. You know what I mean? Like the last acceptable taboo.
Right.
Making fun of the dumb crackers.
Yeah, dude. These damn dumb.
They don't know shit. They're dumb as a stump.
They're drinking gasoline.
Yeah, right.
They're making
doing
love.
Donuts and riding around thinking that's fun.
They're doing
that's
donuts in their sister's vagina. That's the scariest place to do one. But for some reason, there was like something in the past like 8 years when it hit that people started to kind of get fed up with it in a way, or they just wanted equality. They just wanted, make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
Like, don't just, and I think some of that came with like the Trump stuff. People thought that all Trump supporters were just like complete
hillbillies, ignoramuses. Yeah. And I think you see that a little bit in some of the stuff Sacha Baron Cohen did.
Yeah.
You ever watch like Borat and Bruno, and it felt
mean to me.
It felt a bit mean
sometimes.
Yeah, when he was making fun of that, he takes. You remember this one? It's weird because sometimes you feel it's funny. I don't want to be dumb because he's funny, and it felt a little bit like he was beating up on country folk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think as long as everybody's getting beaten up on, it seems good.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where I feel like things are kind of hedging back that way because there's nowhere else for them to go right now. Man, London is marvelous, bro.
Oh, you're welcome.
I didn't know. I didn't think I was always kind of against the British. Like,
come on, really?
Yeah, we're Polish. My father's from Nicaragua, but his father was from Poland.
No way.
So my grandfather met his wife in Nicaragua doing missionary work a long time ago.
So you're kind of Latin.
I'm Polish Nicaraguan. That's kind of how I feel the most, I guess.
Really?
Because my father was very like, he would just talk in Spanish and drink small coffees and, and probably think about, dancing with women that weren't my mother. Just
doing the lambada.
Yes.
The forbidden dance. But you were growing up in Covington, and it must have been like... you were quite exotic in those terms, because that's that's mainly white and a few black people, right? To be Nicaraguan, wouldn't that count for being a bit like?
Well, yeah, it even starts with NI, so immediately you were getting kind of lumped in with the brothers.
But you can pass. Like, you look pretty white to me.
Yeah.
I feel weird saying that. Just saying that felt uncomfortable, like I was sounding like David Duke or something.
No, I used to share a back fence with David Duke.
Did you?
Yeah. When his girlfriend, he dated the hottest chick that worked at our seafood restaurant.
Duke did. They said that was his. People in the, who were part of the white nationalist movement said that was his. Other than his racism and being a Nazi, like his other big failing was that he had an eye for the ladies. He was always having trouble shagging the wrong person's wife.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I think you're gonna say he had a problem with seafood. But because there's a lot of and he may be suffering from gout,
Yeah, he's pretty old now.
It could be just racism built up in his joints. But as a neighbor, nice guy. That's
for real.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, like we didn't see him much. We'd go to the gym sometimes, and sometimes he and I would lift weights. But at that,
seriously,
yeah. But
he's quite a bit older.
Yeah, he was older. This was probably 20 years ago. At that point, he was. Just kind of still a healthy guy at the gym. But he wasn't yelling racist things or wearing like a racist shirt or anything.
His thing was he left the Klan to found the NAAWP.
Oh, yeah?
You remember that?
I
mean, it might be before your time. National Association for the Advancement of White People.
White people, yeah.
And his thing was like, black people can do it. Why can't I? It's just the same thing. Civil rights.
Yeah.
Civil rights for my people.
Yeah.
Was the accent all right? What are you hearing when I'm doing that?
Yeah, I'm hearing just like you, just kind of like having like a country accent.
What do you do an English one?
All right. Good day, friends.
Keep going.
All right. Oh, nice to see you today, miss.
Say I grew up in Louisiana, because it's hard when you're mixing. So I grew up in Covington, Louisiana, and most of you could just talk about that a little.
Well, I grew up in Covington, Louisiana, sir, and I was just a wee fella there with my mom and me grandmom.
Not too bad.
And she died. She had typhoid, or she had a black lung, something. I don't know how British to get,
black lung. So
we ate a lot of like war meals. A lot of the food here tastes like a lot of war meals, I feel like.
Yes. Which war? Like the Second World War?
I'm not sure. I'll have to open it.
Do you mean like
check a reference?
So like it would be delicious if you were in a war.
Yeah, like it feels like somebody like hurried you into a tent to eat, and this is what the chef had, the cook had.
I you know, like I'm half American. My dad's from Boston, Massachusetts, and so I feel a very divided loyalty. Like, but at the same time, because I grew up mainly in South London, I would come to America to visit my relations. Many of them lived around Boston or on Cape Cod. We'd holiday on Cape Cod.
Fancy,
you know that,
huh?
very nice. Yeah. How are you? That's how they would. How are you? That's, that's a different American accent. That's, yeah. It's wicked. And so your American fan base is going to be like, what the fuck is he doing? But my point was that I when they would have stereotypes about British people or English people, I would feel slightly offended, because if you grow up in it, you don't notice like, the food's awful, or the idea that English people will have bad teeth. And I was like, no, we don't. But actually, we kind of certainly did then. They're a little better now. But yeah, I'm interested in what you see from the outside. So the food's not so good.
The food is not. The food doesn't strike me. This is one thing I noticed. The women, the ladies, they seem to be neater women. They seem to have more ambiance about them, I think, and this is no disrespect to America or anything. America seems like a lot more kind of social media obsessed and like kind of fake tit kind of obsessed, whereas I feel like here some of the women just seem to have their own world to them. Like,
you have a girlfriend?
I don't have a girlfriend.
So you're out here, down for whatever.
I'm not just just smashing any, traipser or whatever people call you, or whatever somebody.
What was the term?
Traipser, somebody traipsing or by or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not out here like touching people or anything.
You nearly said molesting.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing everything
of
legal.
Course. Yes,
I'm doing legal work here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, anything,
but you're out here thinking like I'm young.
I could meet a woman. I could meet a wife.
You could meet your future wife. Yeah,
I think I'm in the search. I'm more to the place now where I would like to meet a wife. So, but I just think that.
Have you been going out to clubs and bars?
No, I don't go to clubs. We went last. Jimmy Carr took us out the other night to the Chiltern
Firehouse. That's high rolling.
It was fancy.
That's fancy. The drinks they're expensive, but they're very delicious.
Oh, and the lamps even they didn't have like the little clicker on the back on the cord. They had the actual,
right,
where you pull the,
like a little string,
like a bona fide lamp. Yeah, like that time. Like it was like,
does that count for a lot? Like a string. That seems
formal.
Like a low bar but like formality.
I think
the lamps had strings on them.
Well, I think reaching behind the little desk that it's on.
It was so fancy, that place. They didn't even have switches. They had lamps with little strings dangling off them. Is it offensive if I do that? We can cut that out. If you feel like your fans are going to be like, why'd you get that limey on there and he just rode you?
No, I don't think so. I'll let you know if it feels weird. Yeah. I think because we're talking about it, it's fine. Yeah. If somebody was being like, but I think that's something that happened in America. It was like people were like, fuck you, you'll try and sell us your television programming, but the only thing that's on it is you're only brave enough to make fun of us.
Yeah.
Like you're not even artistic anymore. I think that's something that's happened a lot with like Hollywood, is they've become like fifth and sixth generation Hollywooders now. It's they're not as accepting of like people coming in and bringing in different ideas. It doesn't feel like a melting pot of ideas anymore. It feels like the people that originally came there and had the ideas, some of that's kind of dissipated just by like nepotism and stuff like that sometimes.
And insularity, they're in a bubble. I'll say, like, because I came up as from the outward appearances being British, but then I got my break in America working for Michael Moore, and then I was doing one of the first stories I did was about the Ku Klux Klan, and I was in.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, Zinc, Arkansas, and the show that I did, or the phenomenon of the Klan, or both.
I'm familiar with the one. Where's the part where you guys are at the house and they ask you if you're Jewish, or the guy tries to bug you about it?
Okay, that was a different one, because then it was like it worked. So then I was with the neo-Nazis in California, but the first one was a guy called Michael Lowe. He lived in Waco, Texas.
Oh yeah.
And he said, "No, sir." And it was the first time I encountered that Southern thing of being called sir, but in a way that felt formal to the point of slightly unfriendly. Yes, sir. It's real nice. Come over here, sir. Like it could have felt like polite, but it felt like distancing. You know what I mean? No, just like that. And he was showing me all his signs, and they were pretending not to be racist.
Oh yeah, I've seen this actually.
But they're in the Ku Klux Klan, so he's leaving out this stuff, and it says, and this is something, an item we use for our roadside sales, and it's called for the discriminating shopper. Yes, sir. And it said discriminating in red, and I go, but why does it say discriminating in red? He goes, it's just like that because it kind of stands out. And I said, but does that mean you discriminate? He goes, no, sir, we do not discriminate, no, sir. And it was an odd thing, but the point I was going to get to was that when those shows go out in the US, I'm thinking like, I'm half American. Like this isn't me making fun of American culture, but some people didn't see it that way. And I always felt like a very divided. And I had one where I went around Miami Mega Jail, like one of the biggest jails in the States.
Oh, yeah, in Dade County.
Yeah, Miami-Dade.
Fourth floor, fifth floor.
Yes. So you've seen this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. I'm familiar. I don't want you to think that I'm not familiar.
Oh, I appreciate it. So I thought it was a good show, but then when it went out on Netflix, a lot of people liked it, but some of the comments were like from people, I think black people who are like, why is this white British guy going in, kind of making us look bad? Which it's a valid response, but it's definitely not how it was intended. So I'm conscious of that feeling of being insider, but outsider as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that. I was like, I wonder what it feels like. Because once you kind of, as somebody who's coming to look at something and explore it and see how you can be a filter or like a kaleidoscope for the other people behind you that are going to watch it, what is that? Is it tough? Like at a certain point, do you become a bit of a jaded kaleidoscope? Do you become how does your funnel change over time just because of doing it more and more, and because it garners esteem. Yes, and so it's just interesting how different factors can start to affect the funnel.
I think the best thing that's happened to me is that I'm not that well known in America, and it's changed a little bit. For various reasons, so I have a little bit of a profile, but I think the fact that I can go in, where if I did a documentary in the UK, I'd be pretty well known.
Yeah.
And it's fine, you can still do it. In some ways, it generates more goodwill because they're like, oh, we like Louis, we'll let him in. And then off camera, you're maybe doing selfies and whatnot, which is fine, although it kind of eats into your time a bit. And you think, I'm supposed to be a serious journalist, slightly flying under the radar, and here I am doing selfies at a riot. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I really need to be filming this right now. So sorry, someone's being arrested over there. Oh, just a quick selfie. Come on, mate. And then in America, however, I'm going around Miami jail. No one's going to ask me for a selfie there. Do you know what I mean? And I love that part of it. And I never get jaded as long as I feel I'm meeting new people. The only times where I felt like the dynamic changes is if I go back and do a follow-up a couple of times. So I did a story about the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah, I'm familiar. That's in Louisiana, right?
It's in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, the capital.
I feel like we have a branch in Louisiana.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah. They don't really do branches. It's really just a one-stop shop.
Oh, yeah.
Unless there's obviously crazy, I use the term crazy advisedly, but there's other outfits, there's strange churches, but with Westboro, there's only, as far as I'm aware, there's only ever been, one of the guys left and moved to Louisiana. I wonder if that's what you're thinking about.
I thought they had a Ford operating base or something in Louisiana.
Maybe. Like a little beachhead.
Yeah,
Let's deploy from here. So when I went back, did the first one, I'm like, hello, like, how does it work? Like, nice to meet you. So you carry these signs. What's that all about? And then you made the program, and then I went and made a follow-up. And when you go back, they kind of have your number. And I don't mean number as in, like, they know you're a prankster or making fun of them. It's more like they just know who you are.
Right.
So they don't put up with any nonsense. And you know who they are. So the word you used was jaded. You get a little jaded, and that creates a different energy. So you are sort of saying, come on, just stop it. It's racist, or it's homophobic, it's anti-Semitic, and you just cut to the chase quicker, which you have no camouflage. So it doesn't make it impossible to do work. And as long as I'm on a new story, even if it's a related story to something, like if you put me in a prison in the US tomorrow, I'd be a very happy person.
Wow. So you like that sort of, you
weird.
like being the princess and the pea. You like being the pea under the mattress, kind of?
Yeah, kind of. I'm working with that metaphor. I'm waiting for it to make sense. But yes, like maybe I'm the princess in the sense that, I love that fairy tale, by the way.
Yeah.
You remember how it works? Like she stops the night and she says, I'm a princess. And they say, we don't believe you. And they say, here's how you test. And they don't say anything to her. They say, get a pea. You remember how it, and they put like 100 mattresses.
No, this helps. They put all the mattresses.
Like a ton. And the next one they say, how did you sleep? And they said, I slept terrible. And then what? I said, I was tossing and turning all night because the one pea. But the point is a point about, she really was a princess because she could feel a pea. I mean, it sounds kind of like a nightmare, right?
Yeah, well, I used to have those buzzer underwear that would shock you if you peed at night.
I heard about that.
But
it didn't
also,
shock you, just buzzed, surely.
It was pretty strong. The voltage we got.
You went through a lot growing up.
We got a pretty high voltage package, I think. My mom wanted me to fucking feel it. Yeah. I got them for Christmas. It was a gift, I remember. And it was kind of fun because you would be able to like just sprinkle some water on them and turn them on, you know? And so my brother would be like, do the thing, you know? And I would do it. But
do they still sell those?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Need to look into that.
I think having the electricity and the in the pool of urine was a bad. It was a very 80s, 90s thing. But no, I meant you're the pee actually that gets put in. Like you're the thing that has an effect on the.
I see. Yeah. I've got the distorting effect of mixing things up, and yeah, I do like that. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, like how did that ever start in you that you desired like?
Okay, I like invisibility and I'm an anxious person. And because I grew up always worrying about things, I found if I was talking to someone who seemed off beam or just in any way like their mind worked differently, like I was, maybe all kids are like this, but I was the kid who, if there was a homeless person with his mouth open and I was like 5 or 6 years old, I'd be like, what's going on with that? Mom, why is that man got his mouth open? What, Mom? And they're like, shh, things you're not supposed to talk about, don't talk about it. Or if you read about just weird stuff happening, like guys falling asleep and kind of getting, and then burning to death because they were in the sun and they were wearing too much sun oil. And I was just like, what does that feel like? I was just I think there were aspects of life that felt so strange it took me out of myself. And whatever inner voices of anxiety and disquiet I had, they were silenced. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
And so if you're on location, you're going and talking to someone who, like the first story I ever did was for Michael Moore and it was called Millennium and it was about people who think the end of the world is about to happen. And my main anxiety was I'm going to be terrible at being on TV, right? I just didn't think I had whatever that gift is. Like I was very nervous. I thought, I know at least 5 people who would be way better at this than me. Like my best friends were all really funny. People I grew up with who went on to be comedians and talented performers, right? And I'm thinking, I'm the least funny one in my friendship group. And yet I was 23 years old and I'd been given this break. And the only thing I had that I was clinging on to that I thought, but I'm going to take this opportunity of being being a correspondent on this news show because I want to meet these people who are part of these crazy cults who think the world is about to end.
Yeah.
I just thought that sounds fascinating and I will enjoy that part of it. And maybe in enjoying speaking to them, they'll get some usable footage. And that was really the launch pad. Like was the fact that I just want to know, like, why do you think that? Like what part of you, like when is it going to all happen? When is Jesus coming back and what will he be wearing? And is that a Tuesday or a Wednesday? And the concrete detail or the UFO, there were 4 different groups and there was a UFO group. They were landing in Southern California, the spaceships were going to land in 2001. And then there was a group in Western Montana who were a part of a neo-Nazi outfit who wore little Nazi uniforms. And I remember it was day 3. First 2 days it went terrible. I thought
with the neo-Nazis, you mean?
No, the day 1 was a Harold Camping. He was a fundamentalist Christian who talked like this. And then Jesus is going to come back, see?
Yeah.
And then day 2 was a UFO group, and they were all kind of touchy-feely. We're not preaching doom and gloom. We're not fearful at all. But it was kind of like they kept I just didn't feel like I was clicking with them. Like they talked too much, basically. And I was too polite and scared to interrupt. But then day 3, the Nazis, bizarrely, were the most polite and the most sort of emotionally available. Does that make sense? So I think they were just so lonely and so bored, living like two guys living in a trailer in western Montana.
Oh, yeah.
The me arriving, and they're like, come on in. So great to have you. You know, there's a lot of truth in the prophecies that are written up in Star Wars, the movie Star Wars. And well, what about Star Trek? Star Trek's another one. A lot of truth in that. Different planets for different races.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I didn't want to talk too much about myself because I thought they'd probably assume I was Jewish, because a lot of people assume I'm Jewish, and I thought that would lead to an interesting dynamic.
Right.
So and it was just really striking how they were just thrilled to be telling the good news about different races going to different planets and how there was this neo-Nazi cosmic vision. And I would just sort of go like, wow, that's fascinating. Tell me more. And in the ambiance of kind of weird, I don't want to say friendship, but this sort of weird feeling of warmth that infused the room and the ludicrousness of what they were saying, I thought, okay, I can do this. Like, I can do my job.
Right.
This is funny and interesting. And
that's cool, man.
And I thought that was it. I can now. Not only did I think I've got this, I thought like I'm one of the greatest TV performers of all time.
That quick.
You know what I mean? It went like that. I was like, this isn't a segment. This is a feature film. And in fact, Michael Moore better watch out, because
I'm hot on his tail.
I'm way bigger than that.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, it's wild how
this
your
is 3
ego...
days in. 3 days in.
Of course.
I'm too big for this.
What's so wild how your ego will kind of be the thing that coerces you, that tickles you enough and prods you enough to even get on stage. And the second you open your mouth, then it jumps right in front of you and fucking thinks you're Katy Perry or somebody or Benedict Arnold or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a middle range. Like I'm either this is a disaster or I smashed it.
Same.
That's probably pretty normal then.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think it's, I go to like 12-step recovery, and there's a term in there. It's always like I'm a egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
That's a big term that people say in there.
It's terrible when you say something about you think it's unique, and it turns out not only is it not unique, like it's a cliche.
Yeah.
Like my personality type is actually a cliche. That's kind of disappointing.
Seems pretty chill.
It seems that's when you realize maybe we are all already AIs, like we are in a sim.
Well, I think
there's nothing original about me or you. Maybe you, but not me.
Well, that's not very fair to put it on me, since you made it so sullen. But I will say this, dude. One time Joe Rogan said, I was talking with him, and I'm not name dropping. I know you've been over there before.
Yeah.
And he said, there's many of us out there. There's like 7 Theo Vons. There's like 7 Louis Theroux. There's like a whole there's
definitely
just happening at the same time. And I don't know if I believe.
And one of them's Asian, and a couple of them are probably in Africa, which is crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, it is. But I don't know if I believe that, because it takes away some of your own sense of being value to yourself, But
that was one of the reasons why, I've never said this before, I don't think, but when I went to America, I felt able to be on TV because I thought, well, there's not many people like me here, and I could be the British guy. Whereas in the UK, and certainly in London, I feel like there's hundreds of guys who are just like me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas you actually, you carved a path for yourself surrounded by people who are probably somewhat similar. There's other versions of you out there, but you're the best. You must be the best one because you rose to the top.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know sometimes why have been had success in this business or been fortunate. Like, I just hated not having a lot of opportunity, I felt like. And then when podcasting came along, it felt like you could just do what you could just be yourself. Yeah. That's what it felt. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've been like a slow evolver in life. I'm kind of a slow learner and like a late evolver kind of. And so.
Are you still fasting?
No.
Because you were fasting for a time.
Oh yeah, I fasted for a time. I almost bit into a damn employee at a
Best Buy.
Yeah.
Or a Costco.
It was Best Buy. I don't go to Costco.
Why not?
I don't know.
Is there a difference?
I don't like seeing that much food at once.
Because
just
too tempting?
No, makes me feel sad.
Have you been to Aldi since you've been here?
Aldi, the supermarket? No.
Everything's cheap. You can't spend more than £50 if you try.
Oh, wow.
It's wild because you need self-checkout, so you have a little plastic bin, and it's a discount retailer, but you don't get a whole cart like a trolley. Like you have to pull down a little plastic thing around, and then when you check out, and you do the self-checkout, but the barcodes are really big, so it's not too difficult. Is this making sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you self-checkout, you don't want to be fussing with the tiny barcode. You pass it right 5 times, it's driving you insane, right? But the big beep, and then the bin's not that big. It's pretty big, but you pile it up, and then you could get as much in there as possible, and it's like £50.
Oh, wow.
It's wild. I mean, it's not wild, but you save. So if you're thrifty as I am, you save a lot of money.
You know, we had a great experience working with Morgan and Morgan. We had a lawsuit or court filings against us by Kai the hitchhiker. You know that, and it took a while, but Morgan and Morgan saw it through, and we are in the clear now. I want to let you know that. Morgan and Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers, with over $15 billion recovered for over 300,000 clients. That's right, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. If you believe that you have been possibly injured at work or had something happen to you, an injury, and maybe it wasn't your fault, it was there was liability on the side of the company or maybe you were working for, well, Morgan & Morgan can at least help you figure it out. That's for sure. If you are ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/thispastweekend or dial #law, #529 from your cell phone. That's FOR, thepeople.com/thispastweekend or #law, #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. A lot of you guys know we started off with our first advertiser ever was Gray Block Pizza. Get that hitter, baby. And the owner of Gray Block Pizza, my friend Thomas, evolved his business up in Oregon to start Blue Cube baths. And he sent me one, and it's absolutely beautiful. A wonderful cold plunge, the best cold plunge in the market. If you value American-made and pinnacle cold exposure, this is your cold plunge. Blue Cube baths. What I love is you can set that temperature, get it down to, I mean, you might be able to ice skate in there. I haven't put it that low, but you can set it to a place where you feel comfortable. I'll get in at around 50 degrees for about 10 or 12 minutes. And that's what really sets me and activates me. I've done it before podcasts to really put me and just put me in my body and put me in the moment. You know, the positive side effects of cold plunging are countless. You can follow Blue Cube's Instagram for a chance to win your own cold plunge this spring and summer. That's right. They're giving one away. They will announce the giveaway soon. So follow them at Blue Cube Baths. And we wish them the best of luck. And thank them for supporting the podcast so early on. Is pornography causing a problem in your life? That's a good question. It's a real question. It has in mine. It has at certain periods in my life. Watching porno and everything, and watching porno was it was ruining my life. It was ruining my life, man. Made me feel just so much shame. That's what it did. Well, watching pornography has become commonplace today, and oftentimes men will use porno to numb the pain of loneliness, boredom, anxiety, and depression. That's all. I want to introduce you to my friend, Stephen Wolt. Steve is the founder of Valor Recovery. He is a dear friend of mine. And Valor Recovery is a program to help men overcome porn abuse and sexual compulsivity. That's right. Their coaches are in long-term recovery, and they will be your partner, mentor, and spiritual guide to transcend problematic behaviors. There is zero commitment if you reach out to them. It's just the first step in trying to figure out if you may need some help, if you can get some help. to learn more about Valor Recovery, please visit them at valorrecoverycoaching.com or email them at admin@valorrecoverycoaching.com. The links will be on the YouTube. And again, there's no commitment when you reach out to them. But I promise you, only something positive will come from you reaching out and figuring out if what type of help, if any, could benefit you. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to say, I think that there's something the women here seem like more confident in themselves.
Interesting. And
it's not a judgment against American women, but it's just something that I notice. It just seems like they have their own things going on. Yes. I think in America, sometimes it feels like we've created this space where women have to feel like this desperation to be seen on social media sometimes. Yeah. And I don't know if I feel that here. And I'm not even saying that, I'm not judging the women. I'm just saying that that's just something that I kind of feel like we've created in the States more.
But you live in Nashville, which is its own culture and its own milieu, right?
Yeah, it's quiet. It's families.
A lot of country and western music.
Yeah, a lot of country western music. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Why not New York or LA?
I lived in LA for a bit.
It was too much.
It stayed closed during the pandemic, and Nashville was open, and I didn't want to start paying the taxes in LA and have to and have it be closed. And so I was like, I'm going to move to a place that's open.
Is there a big opioid and heroin problem in Nashville?
In all of America, there is now.
I did a story in Huntington, West Virginia, and we called it Heroin Town, and it was one of those places you just arrive, nicest, friendliest people, and just a terrible. It might be better now, but back then it was about 5 years ago. A
lot of people sleeping and walking, kind of sleepwalking.
A lot of people dying on the streets, and then they get Narcan, and then they pop back to life, and they're mainly just annoyed because they're like, I was enjoying that, you know.
Oh, because they were enjoying that.
You knocked the opioids off their receptors. Damn. And they're like, what'd you do that for?
Yeah, damn it, let me ride. Yeah, let me ride again. It's almost like it's really become the new bull riding.
It's like, I thought you were going to say bungee jumping, but yes. Yeah. It's like, and then someone like, excuse me, sir, have you taken anything? And like, no.
Yeah.
And they just can't keep their
like, I'm just praying. Let me pray for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, one of the things that really, this is where I think.
I'm fine. Would you stop?
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Well, one of the things that started, they didn't even prosecute that family that did the opioid epidemic.
Yeah, the Sacka family.
That's fucking...
But they sued them. They got a civil suit, but they set up...
But what does that mean? They're fucking riding around and eating banana pudding or whatever?
Easily.
While people are dying in the fucking... They even hit a speed bump and they're like, driver, be careful. And like, that's an opioided man that we hit. You did it. You know, it's like... And once that's one of the things that's really started to make people in America be like, there's nobody looking out for us anymore.
Oh, big time.
That was a huge part of it, I think.
I bet. That book, by the way, Empire of Pain.
I haven't read that one.
Patrick Raddenkeefe, brilliant book about how they started making certain, kind of medical company, three brothers, and then the dynasty, how they created various drugs, each of them in different ways problematic, like with side effects, and then the mother of all terrible drugs, which was the oxys and whatever, and a lot of them live in Stade now. Apparently, do you know Stade in Switzerland? Like it's a playground of the wealthy,
that are hiding from.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
that'd be a good documentary.
Yeah, if you could get in there, they probably don't want to speak, and then it must be tough for the museums are all having to give the money back and take down. Because they made all these donations,
right?
But it's. I think you're right. I think the sense of betrayal and the way in which it was cynically rolled out, and the way in which doctors were induced to overprescribe, and legislators were persuaded.
Yeah, that's
and
unbelievable.
Sales reps were all incentivized to make inappropriate sales. I mean, everyone knows this now, but it was way worse than the pandemic, right? Like in terms of like the loss of life.
Unbelievably worse. And to think that it didn't even hit that big of a crescendo.
I've never taken it.
Yeah.
Have you?
I've never taken it.
Fentanyl.
I'm afraid.
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
You got that good fentanyl.
God, they got it. That Fenty, they call it.
Is it?
That Fenty. People just lay there.
And then carfentanil. It's like do you know about carfentanil? That's the elephant tranquilizer. It's like, it's 100 times stronger.
100 times?
Yeah. Than fentanyl. And fentanyl, if you touch it, you can overdose.
Yeah.
You don't even have to take it.
Yeah.
And so police officers are bagging it up and then keeling over saying, this is the best day of my life. It's a sad.
That's so
That's
sick.
awful. And then, inhaling it, right? When they used to break into meth labs, and then there was like the officers were getting, do you know, keeling over because they weren't wearing gas masks. You remember all of that?
Some of them weren't doing it on purpose. I bet after that first day, they're like, yeah, I'm leaving this at home. Honey.
Yeah.
I'll be back
You
in
leave
a
this
month.
one for me. I'll bag it up. You get on with the next hit. Yeah, no, it's awful. That and then carfentanil 100 times. It might be 10 times. You
Even
can
if
Google
it's
it.
one time.
Do you have a guy who can Google? Have you got a Google guy like Joe
we do.
does?
He can do it right
Can
over
you
there.
Google that?
He's an import.
Who's Joe's Google guy?
Jamie.
Get Jamie. Jamie, can you check that?
Yeah, can you bring that up, dude? Black people in wishing wells. Is that what you were looking for? He's always got the
carfentanil is like I think it's 100 times stronger.
It's like, what are we doing? How could we? I think at that point people were like, no. And so after that happened and then COVID happened, that's one of the huge reasons nobody trusted any of the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
Because everybody just seen, I have 4 friends that died from fentanyl, right?
Seriously.
Swear to God. Absolutely deceased.
People you grew up with.
Off the face of the earth. So, some from adulthood, but some from childhood, right? Gone. That's just me, and I don't even run in those circles.
Yeah.
So I can't even. So once COVID happened, and then it became like, oh, we're gonna trust a pharmaceutical. Fuck no. That's where a lot of America was. I think a lot of people don't talk about that, but to me, that was a huge link.
That's wild.
Carfentanil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You shouldn't be in a car. First of all, if you're in a car.
It's nothing to do with being in a car, right? It's called carfentanil.
Well, then that's a strange name.
Yeah, it is a strange thing.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
Give me that.
yeah, but yeah, it's so strong. It's for cars. No, it isn't that. It's
God damn! I just saw a couple tow trucks doing.
Yeah, that's not what
it
is. Yeah, it's for elephants. They should call it something else. It's confusing.
Oh,
it's wild though,
dude. But yeah, those
but
pills
what were you
are
in?
insane.
Can I ask? Because this is intrusive, so you must feel. But you're in the fellowship. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was on cocaine. Was my deal.
You?
Yeah, I liked a little bit of cocaine, and yeah, I liked cocaine. You know, like if you would have some cocaine, then I would have some. Hopefully,
if I had some now, what would you say?
I would say, we'll take a break, boys.
No, because you're in recovery.
I'm in recovery. No, I would say I would look at it. I'd make sure it's cocaine.
Right.
And then I'd probably hand it back to you.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, though, here's what I would do. A few minutes later, I'd say, let me look at it again.
Really?
Yeah.
How long are you clean? What's the term? How many days clean are you?
2 years.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man. I had a couple years and then went out, and it is what it is, you know. But I never had a drinking problem. I just had a cocaine problem.
Right.
Did you ever struggle with anything?
I mean, if you go by what the guidebooks tell you, I probably drink too much.
Yeah.
I drink more than you're supposed to. They say 20, is it 21?
20 beers a week?
21 units or 28. It doesn't seem like very many. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the first thing that a guy who has a problem says. Bro.
No, but come on. That's like
21 beers a week.
Yeah, that isn't 21 beers a week.
It's a good
That would
bit.
be a good week for me.
Okay, then that's a good. That would be maybe if England was playing in the.
No, but as in like that would be low. Like in other words,
Wow.
I'd be like, oh wow, I had a great. I don't want to characterize it like. I don't. Okay, I'm sounding defensive. Check in with myself. No, I like to have a drink, you know, and I feel like I find it relaxes me.
Sir, we're going to need to see your license and registration. Yeah. That's what I'm asking you for, sir. Yeah. Okay, I understand.
You don't drive, never drive while you're drinking.
No, I think, and it's more the culture. In the UK, it's way more of the culture.
Yeah.
Ireland is the drunkest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe.
Did you do some shows over there?
Yeah.
Did you have any guests? Were you doing podcast shows?
Nope, no guests.
Live shows?
It was too much quickly moving.
They like a drink. We like it. Scotland, they like a drink. England, and there's what did we say about it? My wife says I drink too much. Good. I disagree.
But they have to say that.
Yeah.
They're taught to say that as soon as they're born.
Do you think so?
Your husband's going to drink too much. You tell him.
I think she eats too many crisps.
Well, I think it's very
which
fair.
you call chips.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
But I would never dream of saying that to her.
No.
She knows I think it.
Every now and then.
You can't say that. Why is she allowed to say you drink too much, but I can't say I think you eat too many crisps? All the women are going to be like, I used to like him and now I don't like him.
No, the women love you. Any woman I've mentioned you to, they absolutely love you.
I appreciate that. But then they'll feel like he's coercive. He's trying to stop Nancy from eating those chips.
Look,
what's his problem with Nancy eating chips? I think it's, as you get older, do you find that you speak like women's language a little better? Like I feel like I understand.
You're more empathetic with women?
There's certain things you know that you don't ever say, you just should never say.
100%.
Do you definitely want to eat that? Just never say that.
You should not even look at a piece of their food.
No.
Well,
or look surprised or be like, seconds.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Never do that. Also, if they say, do I look good in this or in this? You say you look amazing in both.
Yeah.
Right? You know all this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think as you get older, you just become, if you look at a senior citizen, most of them could be a man or a woman. They often evolve into the same haircut. Your gender really
seem that old. You're imagining my wife and thinking that she looks like a senior citizen.
No,
is that where your mind went?
You seem healthy, and your wife looks hot in my imagination. I do want to let you know that. Okay.
Is she naked?
Nothing crazy. No. She's very well. She's working at a library. Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to do an anniversary present. It's in a couple of weeks. I can't remember how many years it is, because it's been so magical. That didn't make any sense.
But, I got it though.
But my point is, I thought I'm going to it'll be funny if I do an AI picture of me and Nancy having a wonderful time together, celebrating our anniversary. And you can put that into AI now, right? And it'll make an amazing picture.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's so over the top, it looks kind of funny.
Yeah.
So Louis and Nancy having a romantic meal to celebrate their anniversary. And it was Louis Theroux. So there was a guy who popped up in the picture and his beautiful wife, Nancy. The guy looked like me, but she looked like a 70-year-old librarian. And I kept having to fiddle the search terms to make her hot, like his much younger, very attractive wife, Nancy. But I couldn't seem to get the AI to make her attractive.
Yeah.
So I ended up just putting in Liv Tyler lookalike.
Ooh, let's get strong.
And that did it.
I bummed a cigarette off her one night.
Did you?
Yeah.
She seems like a nice person.
She was very nice. She gave me, she gave me half of a menthol cigarette. And I was like, yeah, I kept it. I didn't even smoke. I took a couple hits off of it, then I put it out. Yeah, I thought that was nice of her.
It's funny how you can tell a lot. Maybe not that, but little encounters with people, chips passing in the night. And that was enough.
You get a sense.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of a sense.
Funny that she smokes menthol, though.
It shocked me. But
first time I smoked a menthol, it's like, this tastes like it's good for me.
Oh, yeah. That's that kind of mint, sort of refreshing.
Yeah.
Tastes like you just had washed under your arms. Yes. You're like, God, that's strong. Well, I could see a lot of black guys would smoke them when I was growing up.
Yeah, but according to legend,
I'll tell you straight up, Terry was smoking them bitches, dude, when I met him. A lot of the brothers would smoke them. Yeah, because they wanted a stronger cigarette. I think black people are just they're strong. They're just a tougher ilk.
But haven't they banned, I'm not touching that, by the way, menthol? Haven't they banned menthol or not?
I don't know if they banned it or not, but people are still doing it, unfortunately. And a lot of redheads will smoke them too. So when you see, that's sort of if you look along redheads are kind of exotic, I would say. If you look in the Bible,
if you're in
there's
Ireland,
none of them.
But kind of, yeah.
Yeah, there's no redheads in the Bible.
For real.
So.
Have you really checked that?
100%. Will you run that up? How many gingers are in the Bible? And also, so obviously they're man-made. I think that's safe to say.
Right. Engineered.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I
feel like I was just going to say, like, I feel like this is a good conversation, but I also feel like I've talked a lot about, I've kind of stereotypical gender stuff, and I feel like people might think, oh, he's made all those programs and he's been to incredible places, and like that's what he's learned is.
I think they think we're just joking around and having fun. I think that's what they think.
That.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I think. But I think there's also snippets of reality.
Yeah.
I think when you talk with people like guys who are creatives like yourself, I think even you probably surprise yourself sometimes with what's reality maybe at times and what's your imagination and a little bit of both maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. So, my thing is, I'd like to feel like I'm wise, and I'd like to feel like I've gone through life and I figured something out. And, I've been to extraordinary places and delved deep into human psychology, and I've arrived, like with some elder wisdom.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
But I think people respect that you're on the journey, no doubt.
Yes, I'm still on the journey.
I think a lot of people see that. If they pitch you on the side of the Himalayas with a backpack on.
And thank you. And I think part of my gift, if I may put it like that, you've really seen some of my programs. That's a thrill. Where would you have seen them?
I watched the new documentary, which I do want to talk about.
We should shout that out.
I want to talk about that, yeah.
I'm not in that one. I'm executive producer of that one. If it's the one I'm thinking of, Tell Them You Love Me on Netflix.
Tell Them You Love Me. Oh, it was great.
It's dark.
It was fat. I did not see some of the turn that it took.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Can I set it up very briefly?
That's all I was going to ask you. No, because I want people to go watch it because it really was good.
Yep. It's on Netflix.
It really was good.
It's like a true crime kind of psychological thriller drama.
You will love it. If you like true crime type of stuff, I think you will absolutely love this.
In a twisty-turny, I can't believe what I'm watching kind of a way. It's about a philosophy professor and a very disabled young black guy who's nonverbal and has always been assumed to have a significant cognitive impairment. And she's a philosophy professor, and she starts working with him and appears to unlock all kinds of special abilities. And his family, the young guy Derek, his family is obviously thrilled. He starts going to college. He's having philosophical conversations with her. I don't know if he's writing poetry, but he's sort of writing essays, and they have this meeting of minds. And according to her version, they fall in love and they strike up a physical relationship. But then questions start being raised about the nature of the technique that she's using to open up his abilities, his alleged abilities, and then the abilities come under question. And his family, Derek's family, start feeling actually he doesn't have the special abilities, and this isn't a thrilling story about love across the divide. It's actually abuse. And she gets prosecuted and sent to prison. So you're all the way along, you're trying to figure out what really happened.
It blew my mind because there's so many little things. Well, and one of the things that you have to know, or that helps to know if you're a listener, is that one of the ways that the teacher, Anna Stubblefield is her name, that she would help Derek, because he basically, at first you see him or you think of him and you think, there's not a real him in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a.
Well, I don't want to say that.
No, let's not put it that way.
But my people, listen, no, I don't know. I'm trying my best. But when you look at him, there's a him in there, but you don't know how much of him there is. And it's hard for us to see a lot of times the person that is inside sometimes of a person that has a severe physical disability.
Yeah. He's there, but he's just got a profound disability, and
that's what
you don't know the nature of what he's capable of.
Right.
And
she starts teaching. She starts becoming the facilitator. The way that they start to communicate. It's called facilitated
communication. In essence, what happens is she's called Anna. I can't get used to saying Anna, but that's how she says it. So. And Derek's mum's called Daisy, and it becomes almost a custody battle between them. And the first inkling that something's wrong is that Anna starts saying, like, Daisy will put some meat and potatoes down, and Anna will go like, well, Derek really doesn't like meat. He's a vegetarian. And his mum's like, what? And he doesn't listen. And she'll put gospel music on. They're from a churchy family, and Anna goes like, Derek really doesn't like gospel. He prefers classical, and he drinks red wine. and he prefers Cabernet, and like all these sort of markers of what might be construed as sort of elite or slightly refined.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so there's a sort of class thing, like, and so Daisy's like, "What, gospel's not good enough for him anymore?" Like she feels offended, like the son that she's always known is being kind of taken away from her.
Right.
And it's almost like a power play, like I know him better than... I'm not saying that that's how Anna meets.
But that's certainly how it would come across to a mother, and especially, I think, also a black mother, probably.
He's not going to eat my cooking?
Right.
Because he's a vegetarian. Like, he only eats nut cutlets now.
Yeah. He only eats, like, shortbreads or whatever.
He eats corn and I'm not trying to mischaracterize.
Not at all. We're joking around. He only has a bouilla base or whatever.
Yeah. But she said he was a vegetarian.
Yeah, and that's insane. First of all, to say that a black guy's a vegetarian is absolute. Nobody's going to believe that, dude. Name 70 black vegetarians, dude. Okay, maybe Arthur Ashe was one, but that's it. Nobody's buying that shit. So out of the gate, the mom was like, so, but I think.
So that's where it starts. There's a glitch. And it spins out. And then when she says, and then they have the moment where they announce to Daisy and to Derek's brother, John, that they're having a relationship. And they sit down and it's Anna and Derek sit down with John and Daisy and say, like, I don't know, I think they might have been excited to break the news.
Of course.
But it's a sensitive thing, saying, like, not only are we... Because they weren't saying, I'd like permission to ask for your son's hand in marriage. It wasn't like that. It was like, by the way, we're doing it. Like, we're already...
They said, we've been shagging a bit.
Yes.
Basically, and we're in love.
I don't think they used the term shagging, but it was along those lines.
Yeah.
And I think it felt to Daisy and John like they still had a protective... Because the kid's, he's not a kid, he's a young man. The young man is vulnerable, right? So they don't know, like, and also they don't want to think about
him sexual, probably.
Yeah, having adventurous sexual relations, like with the woman who's basically got a caretaking role.
Right.
And it's a professional relationship. It's a complicated power dynamic. So the brother, John, he's so shocked he goes and throws up. He's like, it cuts him to the soul. Like, he feels so confused and befuddled by the relationship. I mean, a lot of it is just also the awkwardness of, the bigger conversation is around
race.
Well, I was going to say disability.
Oh, okay.
Is that people who are very disabled? They say very, but people who can't walk and in fact maybe can't actually feed themselves, or like who need round the clock assistance with day-to-day life, and may have like real cognitive delays, like where they seem to be incapable. They watch cartoons and enjoy life, but they're not going to be reading books and stuff. A lot of people don't want to think about the sexual relations. It's almost like they're infantilized, and it's seen as inappropriate that they have sexual desires. Right. But they do. They of course they do, because they're full-grown people, right?
Yeah, they're going to...
the obvious.
And especially... Well, one of the things you have to let people know, too, I think, is the way that Anna would communicate. There's like this sort of typewriter type of contraption. It's almost like a first typewriter you would give a child to learn to do typing on.
Like a speak and spell.
Yeah, like a speak and spell. And she would kind of guide his hand or hold his hand, because his hand would often kind of vibrate a lot. So she would hold his hand as he would write out the different things he wanted to say. So right there, it's just such a like, is it mostly him? Is she guiding based on things she wants? Is she even unknowingly guiding based on things that she may want, because there's desires inside of us?
So the contention by the skeptics would be that, because she had long conversations with him using that technique, a little like a Ouija board would be the other analogy. If if you wanted to say that it was dubious and non-scientific. But the allegation would be that she was in essence having long conversations with herself and producing her ideal love partner like someone who likes all the same thing. You know what I mean?
Like a fan fiction, almost writing her own fan fiction or something.
Creating, and I'll leave it to people because it's sort of viewers could go on the journey and figure out what they think happened. But one version of events is that she was projecting a kind of idealized version and using Derek almost as a prop.
Like a Geppetto and a Pinocchio type.
She was puppeteering, yeah. A real life human used as a prop.
But then it's so strange, right? And it's certainly possible for sure. It feels so strange to want to go spend all that time with someone.
Oh, I should shout. I need to mention the director, Nick August Perner, who did a brilliant job.
It's great.
Yeah, he's terrific. And as much as I'm here talking about it, I was an executive producer on it, but it's his project. He did it.
Bring him up, Nick August Perner.
Nick August Perner.
August. Let's get a picture of the man. There we go.
There he is. Do Google. There he is. What a handsome man. Look at his eyes.
Wow.
I want to look like that.
Is he Bangladeshi, you think?
I think I don't know his. I never asked. I don't think August Perner sounds like a Bangladeshi name, but I love that he's got beautiful swarthy skin and piercing blue eyes and a thick beard. I used to have a beard like that, and then I got alopecia.
Did you really?
Yeah, my beard fell out.
Oh my God.
I know. And my hair's gone thin. I have patches in my hair. That's an exclusive. I've never spoken about that on a podcast.
About having alopecia?
Yeah.
And is it a real thing you have to deal with all the time?
Well, it's always there. It's there when I look in the mirror. And if I touch my hair, I used to feel kind of thick, lustrous locks, like gorgeous, just enjoyable. Yeah. Like a bit like your hair.
It's thin though. It starts to get thin.
And then little holes appear. Oh. Can you see that? And my beard, it's coming back, but it's white. I feel like one of those guys who's seen a ghost and their hair goes white and falls out.
Oh yeah, that sounds very like a Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, does it stress you out or do you care that much? You already have a family. You have a wife already.
I care a bit because I think my wife cares. And the last thing I need is to be even less attractive to her.
Yeah, have another crisp Lindsay or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nancy, like, he's coercive. She doesn't sound like that. He's coercive and he's almost bald. He's got patches in his hair. Oh. You need to leave him. He's no good for you. Right?
And that's your daughter saying that.
Yeah, exactly. He's no good for you. Your wife's friends, you've got that to look forward to, is like the toxic friend.
Yeah.
You're too good for him.
Oh, yeah. Every girlfriend I've ever had has had that friend for sure. And they were right.
They were right. She is too good for me.
They're all too good for us. When it really comes down to it.
She's so much better looking than I am.
Oh.
And I'm hitting but I was on TV when I met her, so it was adjusted. It was adjusted for celebrity.
Yeah, it happens. You know what? One thing that I thought was interesting about Tell Them You Love Me, is that right?
Yeah.
Was that, so she kind of has the ability to guide his hand, possibly, right? Or probably does, some ability to guide it.
She has the ability, and whether she's doing it is the question.
Right. And only she kind of knows.
Yeah.
Like there's some studies in there that a doctor or a scientist does that helps you get a little bit of inclination, but even then you're not fully sure. Because some people say like we're the keys to each other's locks, right? Like when we join hands, something more magical can happen, you know? Yeah. But then also I start to think about like the ownership now of like social media and these bigger corporations that own a lot of the platforms that we communicate on, because they can dictate if we're even allowed to say certain things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you might write what you really want to say, but at some point they can say, well, we understand what you'd like to say, but you're only allowed to say these things. Are you okay if we format it for that? And you have to say yes. And if you hit no, it just asks you the question again.
Seriously?
I mean,
has that happened? Is that real?
It just feels like that's very much where we're headed. Like they give you a certain amount of emojis. You don't get all of them.
True.
If you want to feel belittled, you have to pay $2,000 a month for that emoji. I just wonder if that's where, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what color are you in your emojis? Like when the smiley face, did you opt for the white one? Because I'm sticking with yellow, and increasingly I wonder if
it's very Asian.
That's a bold choice.
Well, a lot of Asians would be upset about it too.
Would they though? Because it's a bright puce yellow. It's no yellow that's found in the human condition.
I would agree with you.
What emoji? Because there's a certain point where the first time you use a reaction, it gives you a choice. So now you have a dilemma. Do I go white? Do I go off-white? Do I go beige?
I think it depends on what neighborhood I'm driving through at the time sometimes.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because I'll be like, this is what's going on around here.
Because you're half Nicaraguan, so did you go white or off-white?
I'll go off-white.
Yellow?
I'll go Middle Eastern sometimes.
So you keep choosing different ones?
Oh, yeah, I'll throw a sand brother out there, dude. Yeah, I'll do it all, man. Because you got to keep people on their edge. I mean, I'll even choose the pregnant guy nowadays. It's like, what are we even fucking doing?
Is there a pregnant guy?
There's a fucking pregnant guy. What are we doing? They're trying to legalize all that, But do you worry about that, about like censorship and what will be allowed? I've said this before, but it's like, it used to be like you wrote on the paper, right? And now you can still write on the paper. But what if
on a piece of paper? Yes, you can.
But what if the paper? What if they own? What if?
I think I got shadow banned. I don't know what for.
Well, here you go.
I don't know what for. Either that, or it's so boring that they were like, we got to stop putting. We got to He's making the platform look bad. His tweets are so banal. Just dial them right down. He's making everyone. When I did Joe Rogan's podcast, I did it twice. And when he moved to Spotify, do you remember that big deal? And they gave him like 10,000 million whatever dollars.
Yeah.
And some of them they took off. Like they took some episodes.
They took one of yours off?
So they took the most contentious, like these are too, we can't put this on Spotify. This is too inflammatory. And one of mine was taken off. But I think it was taken off because I was so boring. I just can't, because I said it's nothing. But I loved that I might be too spicy.
Yeah.
And I was like, they've taken me down. Like I've been made, they canceled me.
Yeah.
But I think, because first time I did Rogan, I didn't know how big he was. And you know how he kind of plays a reactive game? Like, in other words, he doesn't go on and say like, I've watched all your programs. I was going to do an English accent. I don't know why. Here's Joe Rogan. I've watched all your programs and I've done a lot of research. And he's more like, hey, welcome. How's it going? And I was like, I'm very reactive as well. So it was kind of like, how are you doing? I'm like, good. How are you doing? Good. And then it was like 2 hours went by and it kind of got into a groove a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably fine. I listened to
the one I listened to. I thought was fine.
That was good. The second one I went back and I was like, oh, I get it.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, the second one was fine. So I'm quite glad that but your point was about, so yeah, I think they shadow banned me on Twitter. I can't prove it. Instagram, I'm okay. I can put a picture of I could just do a selfie and put it on Instagram and it goes viral. Like, yeah. I don't know why. But, if I say I've got alopecia and I'm feeling sad, like cynical, what do they call that?
I'll put 3 black dude emojis in there if you say that, dude, just to spice things up.
Do you think that would make a difference?
Oh, yeah, dude. You bring a brother in, it adds some heat to the situation, man.
Because I've listened to your content and you go close to the line, I'm like, I better check out how what's the closest Theo's got to being cancelled?
Some of it.
But you've never been cancelled.
No, I've never been I don't know. Like, I think a lot of times I'm kind of like just having a good time.
You get a free pass, I think, because you're a comedian and people are like, he's goofing around.
Well, and you're like, people know, I feel like a lot of times, like you're saying, even just running in a Liv Tyler for 30 seconds and getting a menthol offer.
Yeah.
You sometimes can know where people.
But didn't you used to work out with David Duke?
They're harder at. Yeah. And yeah, all we did was fitness, dude.
Did you what's it called? Did you spot him? Is that the term? Does that mean something?
I don't know if it means anything beyond the fact that you're right there assisting him in that moment.
Yeah, would he be like, hey, Theo, would you spot me? What could he bench?
He was strong.
Was he?
He was strong. I mean,
Did you try and were you trying to be a positive influence on him, or would that have been inappropriate?
No, I was using steroids, I think, at the time. I was just trying to freaking be jacked out there, dude. I was trying to flirt with this chick, dude. His girl was she was just a gorgeous. She didn't do anything at the restaurant. Like, she worked there, but I don't even know if she knew what her job was. She was just so pretty. People would just do everything for her, you know? Like one of those maidens or whatever, you know?
You would have been what, 19, 20?
Yeah.
You knew he was like politically...
I'd seen, they used to have signs in Louisiana. It was David Duke versus Edwin Edwards, and he was a famed political figure in Louisiana who had stolen tons of money, like most of them. And the campaign slogan was, "Don't vote for the racist, vote for the crook." Right. Those were the posters. So I'm
surprised he authorized that.
But I think people would rather be stolen from, at the time, people would rather be stolen from than have a little bit of racism going on.
But Duke got a majority of the white vote.
He might have done okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember. That's a good question. What was the runoff vote between David Duke and Edwin Edwards?
First of all, Duke, he got the whatever, was it the Republican nomination? Like, he ran for Senate.
Did he really?
Yeah, he got the majority of the white vote in the race, in the final
When
race.
I knew him, he was just doing chest and tries, you know? Like, that's what he was doing.
Was he?
Yeah. I don't even know yeah.
How do you, I'm trying to work out I'm trying to get more hench. As you get older, you lose muscle mass.
I know, that's scary about being alive.
I want to be attractive for my wife.
Oh, Nancy.
What does it say? I can't even read that. But basically, was he the Democrat? No.
In 75, he lost to Kenneth Osterberger. In 79,
he was the Republican. Bennett Johnson. What is that? He was the incumbent. Duke got 43% to 53%.
Yeah, not bad.
United States Senate election. I mean, that's wild.
I don't know if at that time, was he still that guy though?
Yes.
He may have been.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of racism in the South, you know? And there's a lot of racism that goes both ways in the South too. There's a lot of black folks that do not like white people.
For real.
Tons, dude. Tons.
Anyway,
it always gets looked at as the other way only, but there's a lot of it's like,
but they're making up for lost time.
I agree that there's some of that in there for sure.
I
agree.
We got to get Simone back.
But
the documentary's called
Sometimes one of the tough things you have now is there's so much crime in a lot of the black communities, and it's very unfortunate.
I've made documentaries about gangster rap.
Yeah,
I made a couple. And one was in...
Well, I wish they were just rapping. Unfortunately, a lot of these men are shooting each other for no reason.
Rapping seems like the only...
Heartbreaking, man. Two of my good friends have died. My black friends have died from...
It's the only part of show business
killed.
where, like...
Died from being killed, obviously. But, died from just miscellaneous other men shooting them for no reason.
It seems like it's the only branch of show business where actually killing someone is not necessarily a career ender. Right?
Rap music? Mm-hmm. That's a good call.
Right, because you look at Gucci Mane, he killed someone, they said, yeah, well, it was self-defense.
Yeah.
And no one really minded.
Yeah, well, what's his name? Killed someone at a Walmart not long ago. Who was that?
Alec Baldwin?
Huh? Yeah.
Again? That would be like, okay.
That's hilarious, dude. Thank you for that.
Okay.
That was awesome, dude. Alec Baldwin. Every week he's fucking shooting somebody. And
he wasn't even shooting a movie.
I know, he just fucking... And I think that's his defense. He's like, I thought we were shooting a movie, you know? Like, come on, that's crazy.
That's too much.
I love how he's on trial for this. They hand him a gun.
Yeah.
He fucking shoots it.
Yeah.
And the person who gave it to him, it's just, the whole thing is just bad news. But yeah, somebody just killed somebody at a Walmart and they're getting off. Oh, DaBaby did.
Yeah, DaBaby.
Yeah. And I heard he was in the adult section. That's the crazy part. Okay, that's enough of that.
There we go. I was going to say, though.
It's a great documentary that you get.
Yeah, and the truth is the part, one of the things that his mum, Daisy, says at the end is like, but now, like, he still hasn't recovered. He masturbates. Mm-hmm. And she basically blames Anna for the fact that
getting him started.
She's caught Derek jacking off, And you're thinking like, he's a 35-year-old man living at home. What kind of world is she living in that she thinks that's pathological? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like what else? Like what else would he be doing at home? You know, in his bedroom by himself all day with no girlfriend.
Yeah. I just put 2 extra ottomans in the middle of the room and let him figure it out. You know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of kids need. You know, if he's at that stage in his well-being.
Or send in, like, I don't know if this is like considered kosher or not, but aren't there nurses who can do that? And by the way, a nurse can be a man or a woman, but aren't there nurses that can go in and isn't that part of therapy? Like that you,
I would agree.
That you would be allowed, like someone would
do a milking of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see how that's not a service.
Right?
You can get, you can get somebody to deliver you like a damn power tools at midnight, but I can't get somebody to come over and relieve my cousin Ricky or something at 2 in the afternoon. I totally agree with you.
They do that in Holland. You know how Holland's ahead on all this stuff. They do that, I think, in Belgium probably.
Bring that up if anybody's milking. I don't know what the term is really. If some people are exasperating the,
I think it's called. There is a word for. There's a polite word. There's a kind of medical word that makes it sound okay.
Something very British, yeah. If people are
manual relief or assisted ejaculatory.
Assisted ejaculation, bring that up. Actually, no, that's gonna fucking. And I'm 22 days off of pornography right now. So
are you?
Oh, thank you, thank God.
But how does that?
Longest I've been in a long time.
How does that feel? And you're in a hotel too. Where are you in a B&B?
I'm in a hotel. I'll. Doesn't matter what kind of place I'm in, I'll bust.
Really?
But, yeah. But I haven't been.
Why not?
22 days off of masturbation, something like that, and off of pornography. I just have gotten into like this other program. I have like a kind of I got to check in and make sure, just like, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't having a problem with it, but it just had been a long part of my life where it's like, oh, this is habitual and I don't like it.
How does it make you feel not doing it?
It makes me feel more empowered and it makes me feel proud. Like a little bit, there's a part of me that feels proud of myself. Is that crazy to say that?
You could get a bumper sticker or something. I wonder the best way of honoring that. Like a little,
like I would say,
like
don't
a little
bump
pin.
me too hard. Yeah.
Proudly, what is it? Proudly 50 days non-jacking off. What would be, is there a support group for that?
There are. Yeah,
Really?
there is, yeah. Because a lot of it's just about like just making sure you're not looking at pornography. I just don't want that stuff influencing my thoughts and feelings. Because then you start to like whenever
it intrudes into daily life.
100%. Well, when you're engaged in sex, you think of it in like frames of shot. You're not even involved in like a real connection with someone, you know?
Yeah.
And after years of that and stuff, it's just, for me, it was really unhealthy.
So what are your vices now then?
Vaping, probably. Drawing pictures of tits a lot of times. Like if I'm sitting around and I'm with a napkin or something, I notice I'll just look down and suddenly there's like 6 or 7 sets of breasts or whatever, tits or whatever. Some people call them tits. I call them that. What else? Having some chocolates, probably.
You don't drink at all? Mm-mm. What about, are you California sober?
Mm-mm.
You know that term?
Yeah, you can still smoke pot.
Yeah, and take mushrooms too.
No, I've done like the microdosing or whatever, and I've done ayahuasca, you know.
Have you?
And that's really fascinating. That's fascinating, dude. You want to see something you never thought could happen on Earth? Go try that. It's like getting abducted by aliens. It's almost as crazy as that.
I'm scared. You've never been abducted by aliens.
I don't know. Which is, I think, what any good man should answer, Louis.
Yeah, right. It's possible. I'm a little scared of it, the ayahuasca, because the people I've spoken to, they're like, yeah, it is really heavy. And they'll say, and the person next to me, they were like, it was a pretty good trip, but the person next to me was screaming and thought they were dying. So that kind of harshed my mellow a little bit. And I'm thinking, I might be that guy.
Yeah, that person could have also just been Scottish as well, you know? Because I know they can get very verbose at times.
Do you think
know?
so?
Yeah, the Scots. Well, the whole thing's fascinating to me about the British. No, I think you would love it, man.
Did we get anything on fentanyl? 10,000 times more powerful than morphine, 100 times more potent than fentanyl. I told you.
The presence of carfentanil in the illicit U.S. drug markets is cause for concern as. And that's the nice thing. If you're going to do cocaine, come to England.
Look at the chemical formula is C24H20N2O3. I mean,
look up a little bit more carfentanil. Go to Wikipedia right there.
You would just have to walk past it.
Effects and side effects in humans are similar to those of other opioids and include euphoria, relaxation, pain relief, pupil constriction, sedation, slowed heart rate, low blood pressure, lower body temperature. You know, a lot of people choke to death when they take these drugs because they're on it. They think they're okay. They eat. The muscles in their throat don't work.
Right. And then they choke.
And they choke to death. So you just imagine you're having a piece of chicken and you love it and you can't swallow it. You tried to swallow it. You did the normal and your fucking neck breaks down.
That's hideous. You wouldn't think you'd be that hungry. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm higher than I've ever been, but what I really want is a chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Seems a strange. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does.
Like, I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think, that's but every now and then you'll be shocked sometimes when you'll try to do some food when you're hungry. You'll just surprise you like, oh, I didn't expect. That's the worst. I remember I'd be all coked up or something and make a nice meal and then I'd want to eat it. Just fucking do more drugs.
But it's exciting being on Netflix with the doc, and for us, like, it took us 6 years to make this. I mean, that was just and I joined Nick. Like, the director had already been making it for a couple of years.
Wow.
So like it's a 8-9 year journey, and to finally land it, not just in the UK because it came out here first, but on a big streamer like Netflix, feels big for us. Feels like a thrill. I know you've got your specials on Netflix. They're the big game. They're the big game in town now.
Yeah, they're good. It's definitely.
Did you have a good experience with them?
Yeah, I think so. They actually they told the fans like that were coming to shoot at the comedy special, the last one, that they had to have COVID vaccinations like literally 3 days before last time.
Really?
So, or maybe even, no joke, 2 days before. And I thought that was kind of fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know?
So it wasn't enough that you get tested. You actually had to get vaxxed.
Right.
For real.
And so that made a lot of people be like, fuck them, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, people love Netflix, but because we're addicted to it. But at the same time, I think people, here's one of the things I noticed personally. Like, so I went to the last Blockbuster. Did you ever have Blockbuster videos here?
Of course.
Beautiful places, right?
I used to use it a lot. That was Netflix before Netflix.
100%. And it's still functioning. You can go in there. It looks just like the ones you used to have. There's a kind of disgruntled person behind the desk. One thing I noticed about that Blockbuster is the autonomy you have when I don't know if autonomy is a word, but the amount of just you, when you're walking around looking, there's so many options of things to look at and see. You're like, oh, I forgot about this. I'd love to see this. Look at this one. What about this? Whereas once you get onto one of the streamers, it's really only what they want you to see. Like,
you have to, unless you know exactly what you're looking for.
Right. But it's so hard for our brain to keep all that catalog. So for them to have all that catalog, but you don't really get to peruse it really. It was a total different experience. Like, and the joy you felt kind of finding something a little bit physically, like, oh, let's watch this. And things you never even thought existed anymore. You know, so then you kind of get channeled into only what is happening now in a way. So I think it's also going to be tougher for movies to become classics, or like build up that indie fervor sometimes.
You're definitely a victim of the algorithm. And that's a soft kind of influence. It's not censorship, obviously, but what it is a kind of curating of your experience. Obviously, they want you to watch as much as possible. So they don't want to feed you things you don't like.
Yeah.
But it keeps you in your lane a little bit, is the risk.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll have, like, when they get further along with things like VR, you will be able to kind of go inside the TV, right? And look around on the shelves.
That would be amazing.
Don't you think?
You would hope that that's what they're headed towards, because just that experience was it just brought me back to, I have some say in what I choose. Yeah. Whereas this felt like I don't have as much say.
But I was one of those guys who would rent something and then weeks would go by and I would still not have watched it. I think I had Blade Runner for like 3 weeks. And
Everyone
then
did.
That gets expensive.
Oh yeah, it would stack up, and you'd be embarrassed taking it back.
Yeah, and you'd say, give me a break. And sometimes they would bring it down a little bit.
Sometimes they give you some snow caps or something. I'm like, well, I need a fucking financial break here.
But do you remember, like, you're probably too young, but when videos first came along and it was a new technology, it was kind of like, before Blockbuster, everyone thought, I could make money with this. So you would pop into the dry cleaners and then have a little a video section, or the 7-Eleven, or like the local candy shop, right? And they'd have a little like 15 video library. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's awesome.
And then there was a winnowing, and they're like, this is ridiculous. We need to have some place that just does that.
We had a place called Pat's Shrimp and Video, and you could get you a pound of shrimp and get you a movie over
in
there.
Covington.
Yeah. It was nice, dude. Get you a little bit of shrimp, get you a little film or something.
You know what you'll find over here is I think the chocolate's a little bit better.
100%.
And if you go in, and no disrespect, and maybe they're one of your sponsors, but Hershey's chocolate, I'm not a big fan of. And
me neither, honestly, and I'll say that out loud.
Yeah, come on, fuck those guys.
Well, it's just shit chocolate. What are you fucking making for people?
I think I actually think, and you can check this, they could not legally sell that as chocolate in the EU.
Wow.
Because they'd be like, there's not enough chocolate in the chocolate. Right? I'm serious.
Oh, 100%.
You know, the cocoa content would be, they'd be like, this is Vegulate. We can call it Vegulate,
right,
if you want to call it Hershey's Vegulate, but we can't call it chocolate.
Yeah.
Because it's very sweet, but it doesn't have the richness.
Yeah, like we can call it African-American butter if you want, you know? And like, well, it doesn't need to be racialized. We just need it to be actual chocolate, you know? You would think, though, also in America, that has had a lot of history with African Americans, you think at least they would put the appropriate amount of African American in the chocolate, dude. That's the kind of shit that pisses me off. Hershey's lawsuit sparked British revolt for superior Cadbury chocolate. But I will say this, when you walk into some of the chocolatiers that are in Britain, it feels like you are. Oh, yeah. It feels regal. It feels royal. It feels real.
Imperial. And if you go to Belgium, forget about it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it's like being in Tiffany's, like a jewelry store. It's so redolent of class and kind of gourmet values. And the things are exquisite. Like, they just make beautiful objects out of the chocolate.
Presentations,
The presentation is off the scale.
Yeah,
Have you tried Revels? Do you know what? Try some Revels while you're over here.
Is it good?
It's a mixture of different. I just like you don't know what you're going to get when you put your hand in, and then they used to have they have a raisin one, like a crunchy kind of honeycomb one. There'd be an orange one, a coffee one, and they used to have a peanut one. Oh yeah. And then they discontinued that because of the allergy issues.
Yeah, but those people, we don't need them on Earth, I think.
People would say, like, the joke was like, people with allergies would use it like it was Russian roulette.
Oh, I love that.
I have one. I don't know if this is going to kill me or not. The thrill. I don't know if anyone actually would do that. But a little part, I'm not going to be the guy who's like, is health and safety gone mad? I mean, we don't want people to die from eating a chocolate, but a little part of me was like, wow, so we can't have fucking peanut Revels anymore just because. That's
a huge part. I think at a certain point you have to go with the status quo.
I was in a movie theater once, and I had my I think I had pick and mix. You know what that is? Okay, you just select different sweets and candies. A bit of them, but you make your own bag.
Okay.
I was like, this is going to be. And I sat down to eat the sweets, and a woman in front of me and says, "Sorry, just to say, my son has a peanut allergy, so if you wouldn't eat any of your sweets, I'd appreciate it." What? So of course I'm like, oh, of course, yeah, not a problem. I don't want someone to die because of me in the theater, but I was also thinking like, what? I can't eat my sweets?
Yeah, dude, that's who do they think you are? John Wilkes Booth or something? It's not your fucking responsibility to keep this kid alive. It's her responsibility.
Yeah, what if I go and sit over there? Like, nope. No, that's not good enough. Okay.
Dude, yeah, that kind of stuff.
You know what I did? And we can cut this bit out. Maybe.
No, we'll keep it in.
When I went to far away in the theater, and then I
ate them. Yeah. And did part of you eat them out of spite almost in a bit? Of course.
No, I ate them because I wanted to eat them.
Yeah, but some of you, with each one, you were like, oh, that little motherfucker couldn't handle these.
Keep them out.
Oh, yeah, you're just firing them over towards him.
Man.
Let me think about what else. Oh, do you think, what's on your mind these days, Louis? Like, what's something when you think
I've
about?
got a podcast on Spotify. I went the Rogan route. Are you on Spotify?
Yes.
Are you?
But you're only on Spotify. No, I don't. I don't have a deal.
But they can put you on there.
Yeah.
And they don't pay you.
Nope. Wow. I know you're making it sound like a horrible situation. But we just put it on there just to be everywhere.
Yeah, you're not a Spotify I'm a Spotify podcast.
Oh, nice.
The Louis Theroux podcast. So I've been doing that. And then I've got new shows coming up. I've got stuff that's on. Oh, I mean, my big thing is I diversified, so I started making more stuff behind the scenes. So I've got a series. Do you remember the Challenger explosion?
Yeah, a lot of people said those people are still alive recently.
Where are they?
Huh?
Where would they be?
Bring some of that up. People have been saying that. Can you say Challenger, people still alive?
We did a whole...
Do you have it? Is this what yours is about?
It's not about... According to us, they're dead. According to our research. Did I say Challenger? I meant Columbia.
Okay, Columbia. Sorry.
I fucked up. Columbia's the one that it was in 2001.
Oh, yeah, those people are dead. The Challenger people, I think, are alive, though.
Challenger is the one that exploded on takeoff. Columbia exploded on re-entry.
No.
Yeah, and not only that, they had, I wouldn't say they knew, but they had an inkling that something might go wrong, and they decided not to tell the astronauts.
No.
And so the question at the heart of it is, what could they have done differently? Could they have sent another rocket up and taken the people out in a spacewalk and bring them back home? In the other rocket, like send up a Russian rocket.
Right.
Could they have fixed it, done a spacewalk and fixed the bit that they thought might be damaged? So there's a lot of questions around how it could have been handled. I wasn't an exec on it, but my company made that. We're very proud of that series.
Wow.
And then we've got one about Lockerbie. And we do a lot of heavy stuff. Do you know what Lockerbie is?
Lockerbie, that's not the Loch Ness Monster, is it?
No, but it is in Scotland. It was a village and a plane. It was a Pan Am plane that was flying from London to New York, I believe, and had a lot of American and British people on it, including a whole bunch of students from Syracuse University, I believe. And it was bombed. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories around that, or theories as to what happened. So we made a 4-part documentary. That one's going to be on CNN. So anyway, I've been making a ton of different, and do you do any behind the scenes stuff? Like, do you have people you're mentoring, or do you have like a production?
No, right now we've just been doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would like to, sometimes I think about doing some different, like I've had just some thoughts, about stuff, like sometimes maybe about like Alzheimer's, learning about that maybe.
I made a documentary about that. That's
did?
an interesting, it was called Extreme Love, Dementia, and about the ways, it's about how we can best look after people with dementia. Yeah. A lot of them are very happy. Like, not to sound weird about it.
I think it's fine if they think they're young or a child or whatever. I don't know, but it's just about making them okay and comfortable.
Yeah, you just got to let them be them. I mean, that sounds a bit glib, but if they say one of them was he was a doctor. No, he was a dentist, and he was in this memory support facility in Phoenix, Arizona, surrounded by nurses and other very old people and fairly old people, and He'd been a military dentist, and he was like, "I'm on this base. I'm a dentist. I'm doing something dental. I know that." Like, I'm like, "Really? You mustn't contradict them because that creates distress."
Oh, confusion.
So you're like, "Okay," and then you change the subject. So he thought he was still working as a dentist, fixing people's teeth. And if he was distressed, you would say to him, "Hey, Gary, would you mind taking a look at my teeth?" And then he'd do a dental inspection, and then he'd forget what was bothering him. So look, in this bit we can see he's trying to get out. He's like, "I want to leave. I want to go through this door," but it says push, and the alarm will sound. and he's getting agitated. And then I'm like, hey, Gary.
Indian or something.
Here we go.
You're always going to be an Indian.
Would you take a quick look at my teeth?
Yes, sir, I would.
They're not very clean, though.
Well, I know. You're a Brit, aren't you?
Yeah,
Well, you guys don't clean your teeth like we do.
I know.
Lie down, please. You got good occlusion.
And now he's
You can
fine.
know you're in crossbite back there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do anything about it because it's not going to hurt you now.
Oh, he might be. Yeah, it sounds like somebody that's checking in on animals too. Like he could be breeding dogs or whatever. Some of the commentary he gave there.
But the point being, he's happy and he's living in his own world. And he's in a fictional reality of his own memories.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing.
I wanted to do something called like Children of the Porn, right? It was like children that were conceived on pornography sets during the shootings.
Right. I think that's not many, though. Do you think?
I think you got to get at least 7 or 8 of them. You only need a decent batch,
Hard
you know?
to prove as well, because there's so, if you're a working porn performer, you're going to be doing at least 3 or 4 scenes a week, maybe more.
Maybe not during a strike season. Maybe if you went and looked during a strike,
During
possibly.
a scare, when there's like someone tests positive and they shut down.
So there were only a couple of shoots that year, that month. And if I don't know, just something that I thought about.
Have you got an
you know?
OnlyFans?
No, I don't. I don't have it, and I'm glad I don't. What else did I think about? Oh, morning sex. Maybe a documentary about that. How did we get here? You know?
Like sex because you're bereaved and you're in mourning?
No, morning sex. No, you're talking about like funeral, like post-funeral sex or whatever.
I can't get out of my grief.
Yeah, like
Or more, but you mean sex in the morning?
In the morning,
What's
yeah.
the angle?
I just think I don't care what it is. It's just probably just. I think fucking somebody right after they woke up is pretty sick. I think
Sick as in good?
No.
Oh, because sick means good now.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it went back. Now it's bad again. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm coasting out of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty old.
Well, I think it just also part of you loses interest in some of that as well.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the hill.
Yeah. Well, your penis, you've done all the tricks you can do with it.
I'm just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm retreating. You know what I mean? Like, gradually, everything it's about, we just need to focus on getting to the next day.
Yeah. Do you feel accomplished?
Yeah. You're not supposed to say yes, but I do. I do because...
It's a really cool thing to say. I think it's important.
I don't think there's people who've done way more, obviously, stuff than me, but because I've been so lucky with the career that I've had, and I think maybe because of when I came along, it was like there was various things happening in TV and documentaries, and it was kind of like there was an opening. Like there was no one who'd done kind of like, well, just wasn't that guy. Like he's kind of a little bit cerebral, but he likes to joke around and he's curious about this and he's a good listener and and then the BBC gave me they just keep making those programs, and they didn't really even check up on me. Wow. And suddenly 15 years went by and I'd made 50 programs and I'd covered everything. I mean, there's still stuff out there, but there's so much I've done a prison, I've done jails, I've done a maximum security mental hospital for pedophiles. I've done most of the high crime areas, like, let's say most of, but I've done Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Johannesburg, Lagos. I've covered so much. I feel like I've had this huge privilege, this gift, and it's pretty cool. I don't want that to sound weird.
I don't think it does. No. Well, it's just a lot of times, especially I think in the U.S., we don't feel that you never hear someone talk about, okay, I feel accomplished.
But
it's always just like this never-ending thing that is.
But I'm trying to make myself okay with slowing down as well. Obviously, by one metric, no. Like I'm not. I grew up in a household where we valued Shakespeare. Me again. Welcome back. And so for me, I accomplished. My dad's a writer.
Yeah.
He's a travel writer. He lives in Hawaii and also Cape Cod in the summer. And he's written 60 or 70 novels and travel books. Like he's off the charts accomplished. So, and and the people we looked up to when I was growing up, people like just great literary figures like James Joyce or F. Scott Fitzgerald. John Irving. He would have been too close in age to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad would have probably, I never read John Irving, but if it was, let's say, Hemingway or Faulkner, right? Mentioning a Southern writer. Do you know who Charles Portis is? He wrote True Grit.
Oh, wow.
And he was from, I believe, Little Rock, Arkansas. He's a Southerner and he's dead now. Brilliant writer. Everything he wrote is a kind of classic of a kind. So he was just someone who my dad was like, you should read Charles Portis, like True Grit's well known, but his other books are equally good, if not better. So I read 3 of his books. But my point is just, and I totally recommend them. One is called Norwood. Another one is called The Dog of the South. And so by that metric, no, I'm not accomplished because I'm not a gifted writer. I'm just a TV presenter. I'm not even really a documentary maker, really. Like, I'm not a director. I'm the guy who works with a director and we say, hey, I'd love to go to a prison. And then the team says, we'll make that happen for you. And they go and, they figure out how we get in. And then we get amazing access for 2-3 weeks, right? Or in a cult or in the world of adult film or the far right, some far right group.
But you're the right amount of curious, though.
But I'm curious, and in a sense, by being a little bit scattershot, a little bit not ready for prime time, a little bit unfocused, maybe a tiny bit, I don't know what, it may be ADHD, I'm not sure what it is. I don't want to medicalize it, but whatever that is, I get impatient, I get twitchy, and then so the people who are focused and on it can get me in there, and by dint of their work, I've been part of making these programs.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to row back from saying I'm accomplished. I already regret.
No, I don't feel. I feel like it's you very lightly said.
I feel very lucky. Yeah.
You very lightly said. Well, most people view you as extremely accomplished. So I just think it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that. The pedophilia, man. What'd you learn about it? Because now sometimes people are saying that it's, the next big business or whatever.
In what way? Like,
it's like the next Apple computer or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
It's just grow. I mean, I feel like it's like in America, there's that NAMBLA group. There's people trying to like legalize it. They're saying that the Romans used to do it.
Yeah, Romans did it. Greeks, I think famously, was Greeks, wasn't it? And they said that was normal in those days. And then there was NAMBLA. I remember seeing a documentary. When I was coming up, I used to live in New York, and there was a place called Kim's Video talking about Blockbuster. Kim's was like, it was way beyond Blockbuster. They had everything, and they had every kind of film, and they were organized by director. There'd be Kurosawa, Spielberg, I don't know, Jean Renoir, some obscure stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere else. Go into Blockbuster and say, "Where's your Kurosawa section?" They'd be like,
yeah.
Oh, sorry,
We'll give you some snowcats. yeah.
But Kim's had everything. And in the 90s, when I was coming up, I was working as a print journalist, and you'd go down to Kim's, and it was like an education in film. And they had a documentary section that had incredible, like one film they had that I want to mention. You may even have seen it. It was called Dream Deceivers. Have you heard about it? And it was about 2 kids who listened to a lot of... is it Black Sabbath? No, Judas Priest. Yeah. And they had a song called Suicide Solution. And the 2 kids decide, they think the lyrics are saying, suicide solution, just do it. And so they're like, yeah, we need to commit suicide. I know, it's very heavy.
And they
kill themselves.
No.
Yeah, and then one of them doesn't manage to do it. He just shoots off the lower half of his face. So he's interviewed in the documentary.
I got to see that.
But he can't really speak properly. And then Judas Priest are prosecuted by the kid's parents, I think, saying like, it's your fault. It's because of the lyrics. And then Rob Halford from Judas Priest is on the witness stand explaining like, it's not, we just made a song. He's from Birmingham, isn't he? So we just made a song and it wasn't supposed to tell anyone I can't. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's very fair.
And and I remember seeing that and thinking, this is so fucked up. This is exactly the kind of thing I'm really curious about, and it's dark and it's all upsetting, and There's the kid. He's died since then.
Oh man, I got to learn about that. We just had a group on called the Suicide Boys, and they had a pact when they were young that if they didn't make it, that they were going to commit suicide.
Make it as what?
As white rappers. So I mean, it was a fucking. Let's just say the deck was stacked against them. Okay?
But there's some pretty good. I feel like down
sure.
south is it Bubba Sparks?
Bubba Sparks, he was on one time. Bubba Sparks is a really neat guy.
Is he still going?
He had some pill addiction. He still does do some work though. He still does work some.
Really?
But there's a lot of white rappers out of the UK now.
Oh yeah, I would say white and black, very talented. In fact, the UK drill scene.
Central C?
Central C. Did you have him on?
Central C, no. I thought about reaching out to him, but
do it.
We had Ed Sheeran and KSI and you, and I felt like it was a good.
That's a great mix.
I felt like
I feel very flattered to be in that company.
I feel very flattered to be in the company. So,
but on the Kims, because you were talking about pedophiles being the next big thing in tech, which I didn't fully understand. But I don't
know if I said that exactly.
You said it was like the next Apple product.
Oh yeah, I was just saying it's become this hot thing in America that it's like. It just seems like they try to make it seem more norm. Well,
so the thing was, I was going to say, was there's this documentary that in Kim's in the documentary section, and it was about NAMBLA. It's called Chicken Hawk. All I was going to say on that was, so back in the day, NAMBLA was big. Allen Ginsberg, the poet. I'm not trying to throw shade on him or whatever.
No.
Brilliant beat poet, much beloved, but he was a member of NAMBLA, I believe. You can check that. But and Howard Stern in the 90s always used to have, you know how he would have people on who, he had a Klan guy who would come on and he'd make fun of him, and he had a NAMBLA guy who would have on. So my point is just like NAMBLA's been around
for a long time.
Chicken Hawk, Men Who Love Boys. It's a very weird documentary where they spend time with a couple of guys or one guy from NAMBLA, and they're just talking to him, figuring out what makes them tick, what's going on with them. And did you confirm the Allen Ginsberg?
Yeah, let's look back and just bring up Allen Ginsberg. I just want to make sure that we're referencing.
Yeah, we don't want to make someone part of NAMBLA if they're not.
Well,
he was their celebrity. Like they had one celebrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Associated with NAMBLA, was a supporter and a member. Good enough.
There we go.
It's a North American Man-Boy Love Association. So was Michael Jackson in NAMBLA?
I mean, I'm sure he definitely performed at some of their events. You would think, yeah.
You know what? Have you ever said, like, I went on Twitter and said, "Come on, we all know Michael Jackson was a pedophile. Like we've seen the program, and even before that, like there was no shortage of evidence. Like his music's still great, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's not be silly, but let's not be in denial about what's happening." And you get so much comeback,
really,
on Twitter, like on X, from that. Does that surprise you? Like
no, I'll say I'm going to tweet that as soon as we get out of here.
Yeah,
just to remind people.
Yeah, I was really surprised. There's people who are still like, like that's so shocking that you would say that about Michael. I'm like, what? Which Michael Jackson are you talking about,
dude? Who are you talking about?
No, well, so I don't think they're trying to normalize. But my perception, I saw when I went to Coalinga, it's a maximum security mental hospital for sexually violent predators is the term, and they go around in beige suits, and it's a hospital, so they can't punish the men there, right? It's a legal requirement. It's a hospital, so they're not incarcerated on the grounds of serving a sentence. They've done at least 2 significant terms in prison for sexual offenses, and then 2 psychiatrists have said, "Yeah, we're not ready for you to come out." And they're like, "Hang on, I've done my time. What are you talking about? I've done 15 years." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're mentally ill." And they're like, "I'm not mentally ill." They're like, I'm just a pedophile. That's their thing.
Oh, I see.
Right? They're like, I don't have delusions, and which is in a weird way is a kind of medical, arguably a psychiatric gray area.
Right, because they're saying, I know I'm a pedophile.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah, or some of them are like, and I don't mean to be like, but they're like, because some of them are rapists, and they're like, well, but I'm a rapist. Why are you putting me in, like, but I did my time for that. And also, why are you putting me in with these pedophiles, right? And and they're saying I committed a crime, but that doesn't mean I can't. And like, why are you letting out murderers, but you won't let me out? But the argument goes like, well, because you're mentally ill according to our metrics due to being a pedophile. So anyway, so they're there and they're like, well, I'm not gonna. They're like, and if you spend a long enough here and do enough treatment, we'll let you out. And they're like, no, you won't.
Oh.
No, you won't. So none of them, very few of them proportionally are doing the treatment. But they can't be punished. So they play in jazz combos. They're playing tennis, doing art therapy. They can have porn. They can vote. They're like, I'm going to vote for Obama. You know what I mean? They're living lives like in a it's too strong to say country club style, but like a relatively pleasant mental facility.
And everyone in there is a pedophile?
Or a rapist.
They're a predator, sexual predator.
Sexually violent predator. The term violent implies like, oh, they beat you up, but some of it's grooming. It's a kind of legal definition of violent. And then they play softball. They play a lot of softball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If they live stream that, people would pay to watch that.
And they sell their hair. Would you think so? I don't know.
In a heartbeat.
Why?
Watching pedophiles play softball?
It looks a lot like anyone else playing.
Yeah, but still, every now and then it's going to get a little weird, and people are like, look at that. You know? People would pay. You'd be surprised, I think, of what people would pay for. I wouldn't pay for it, I don't think. I would look at the highlights or whatever if it was on sports.
It would be like on ESPN 5.
yeah.
Like one of the real, like and lawnmower races.
With the dog shows on there.
Dog shows and lawnmower races. I'm saying lawnmower races like it's fringe, but that's probably mainstream. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, there they are.
That's the worst. Do you think this is a born sickness or a learned thing, do you think?
I would say, according to what I was told, a bit of both, I think. But I think there's a component where it's what they term a paraphilia. Like it's like you can't actually cure it. You know the term cure any more than any other. I was told like it's like a sexual orientation, which isn't in any way to attempt to normalize it, because it's just the idea is like actually this is just something they are. Not even how, like something they are. So and they need and even like and what they have to, and what they do is they convince themselves that there's no victims, like that the kids are okay with it. A bit like Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
My theory with Michael Jackson is that the whole time he was trying to tell us what he was. Like every interview, he would say like, I sleep in a bed with kids. It's love. What's wrong with that? Like, in other words, like he was always trying to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was talking in his Diane Sawyer interview or his with Martin Bashir interview. There might have been, was there an Oprah one? He just wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah, I think it had to he had to find some way for it to let people know. He probably was a nice guy who also had this affliction, Well, that's the craziest thing about a lot of things. It seems like that you investigate, a lot of the stuff you investigate are these people, it's not like some of them could be practicing.
I think it took the kids a while to realize they'd been abused as well.
Yeah.
They thought they were just having fun with Michael Jackson. I don't mean to sound like...
No, well, I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it all just goes to what you believe is okay. You don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, in the bigger scope of things, yes, it seems it's really messed up, and we were able to see that. But at the time, if you're there and you're in it, and nobody's told you that it's bad, or you haven't told anybody that it's happened.
Can I tell you? I've never said this before, but I heard a theory that Michael Jackson was on an episode of The Simpsons.
I didn't know that.
And they pulled it. It was an uncredited guest cameo as a mentally ill man who thinks he's Michael Jackson. Does that ring a bell? It's a really great episode. You can't see it now. They pulled it. But the theory I heard was that he agreed to be on The Simpsons on the one condition that he could spend the night with Bart Simpson. So they had to write that into the script.
No way.
So in the episode, he spends the night with Bart, and they stay up all night writing a song together called Happy Birthday Lisa, I think.
Oh, this looks like it right here.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know, but I feel.
Oh, it was like, can I spend the night with Bart in the episode?
Yeah. Wow. But because why would he do that though? Unless he's trying to in some way normalize adults and kids spending the night together.
Unless he's trying to eat my shorts, or whatever. God, it's crazy. Yeah, that's what I wonder with like a lot of the Epstein stuff and stuff. It's like, is there this overall master arcing thing that's like leading us into this like depravity world, or did people always used to behave that way? I don't know.
I feel like it used to be like, in this country, in the UK, we used to have page 3 girls, and you could be 16 and be a page 3 girl. And, it's arguably porn, like they're topless. They don't do it anymore, but, 16 is very young. And for like to have that in your national newspaper, there's a topless 16-year-old. They changed the law in around 2003. My point is just that I think in a weird way, it was more normal in the past to fail to police inappropriate relations. Like there was more sense of like, when you look at all the Roman Polanski stuff, or stuff that was happening in the 60s and 70s. I think nowadays, I almost feel like the Epstein thing is a distraction. I mean, I might be being naive. I feel like they're trying to make out. Obviously, he was a terrible guy, right, who was grooming and molesting teenagers. But I almost feel like they're trying to make us all feel like there's this VIP. And maybe there are, but I feel like most of that stuff's actually happening in plain. Look at the stuff that's going on in the regular porn industry. You know what I mean? They don't really need to hide it.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's part of it. It's like, well, I think it starts to make people think that, okay, the rich and elite are like
on the island. I don't really, but I mean, the idea of the island's kind of appealing. Like, wow, what did they? And like,
right, island always adds mystique.
Yeah, it adds a mystique. He had a private island.
Like, what are they doing out there? What are they doing?
And then people would fly out there. I think they were probably out there just eating chicken wings and
being
what
rich.
I mean? Being rich, and it was probably quite boring.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Unless there was a group of dudes, because I've been around some real rich people. When you start, a lot of them do like they'll go on like these kind of sex kind of
really
romps and tours. Nothing with.
I've heard that, and about some of the tech CEOs that they get together.
And they go to Romania or just different places and do some weird shit
and shoot backpackers. Like in Hostel.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard that, but
they hunt humans because everything else is too tame for them at that point.
Oh, I would believe it though. I believe that goes on somewhere. Because they don't value some people at certain levels. They don't value human life at all. I don't think.
The scary part is like it's a bit like Squid Game. If you got like 100 desperate people, like if they were addicted to fentanyl or something, and you said like, one of you're all going to be hunted. Of the 100 of you, maybe 3 are going to get shot and killed, but the rest of you will make a really big paycheck. You would probably not have any trouble finding guys to agree. Don't you think?
100%.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of like what boxing is, in a way. Because they're saying like, you're going to get brain damage, probably, or a lot of you are, but you'll get a great payday.
Yeah.
And you can, until you're about 50, you probably won't notice a lot of the side effects. I'm not trying to be down on boxing. I've got friends who are boxers, but we all know that, there's a brain side effects.
Yeah. No, man, just interesting to think about stuff,
It is. And
did you ever get to meet Michael Jackson or no?
I shook his hand.
You did?
Yeah.
What did his hand feel like?
Very soft. I made a film. It was the only time, I think, maybe.
You made a documentary about something about.
Yeah, it was called Louis and Michael, or when Louis, Michael, and Martin. Or it was around the time Martin Bashir was doing his interview, and I was trying to get an interview. It's the only time I've done one where it was in search of. So I didn't get that close, but I did interview Joe. Joe was his dad, the one who he said messed with his head. The one who because Joe would call him all kinds of names.
Yeah.
That later on people alleged that was part of why he got his surgery. Because he would call him Pepper Nose. He said his nose. No, I'm not going to do an impression of Joe. That's a bridge too far.
But he was
kind of a bully.
Yeah.
And then Martin Bashir got fired. He was the guy who did the interview with Princess Diana. Do you know all of that? And then turned out he got it on false pretenses by forging a document. And that was why Princess Diana thought the intelligence services were snooping on her based on that. So she agreed to do an interview with Martin Bashir. There's Majestic Magnificent. He was Michael's personal magician.
Wow. So that right there.
So you could say like, what? That's the best you could do was talk to his magician? But you could also say like, well, who has a magician? That's pretty cool to have a personal magician. And
God, he must have been just so brokenhearted, or in so much self-pity. He also and brokenhearted.
Who, Michael?
Yeah, or something just wrong, deranged with him. Yeah, to have a personal magician, you
But
need
Muhammad
someone.
Ali had a personal magician.
Oh, he did?
Same guy, I think. Or maybe it wasn't his personal magician. I mean, he lived with the Jacksons. I could never quite.
Is this guy still alive?
He's dead, sadly. He was a good magician. Look at that. Do you see that?
Mm-mm.
And then Joe. My thing with, I said to Joe, what's going on with Michael? You know, the angle I went in was like, he looks like he needs help. Like he's a brilliant artist, but he seems troubled. He's taking the surgery too far, and I don't see a healthy relationship in his life. And in fact, the relationships he did have, you know, with Lisa Marie Presley and what was the Debbie Rowe. Debbie Rowe was the other one.
Yeah.
Who was she was like the receptionist for his dermatologist, Arnie Klein. I think that's right. Anyway, I was like, what wouldn't you like to see Michael? And this was the slightly troll-like thing I did, although maybe not. I said, don't you want to see Michael happy, like settled in a consenting and happy relationship with a man or woman?
Hmm.
And what did he say? I think I said boyfriend or girlfriend. He said, boyfriend? I was like, yeah, boyfriend or girlfriend. Boyfriend. And then he went off. He said, you saying Michael's gay? You saying Michael's gay now? And then they kind of went off and freaked out that I might have suggested.
That he's homosexual?
That he was a gay man. That he was a homosexual man.
He could have been.
I think probably, like, if he'd been able to channel his sexual energy into consenting relationships with men,
It'd been fine.
Then it's all good. I mean, I think of some pedophiles, when you meet them, like the guys at Coalinga, they're not the most attractive men, right? Mm-hmm. What a surprise. And actually, when I've met pedophiles, I've interviewed them also doing prison sentences at San Quentin. And a lot of times you feel like, okay, these are guys who are socially maladapted, who, for them, like to have sex with, I don't mean to belittle it or like in any way trivialize it, but that's just an opportunity for them because children are weak and easily influenced. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. It's like some people prey on women that are weak and easily influenced. Some people prey on whatever they can that's weak and easily influenced or whatever they're able to assert themselves onto.
Yeah. It's like,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
We had a decent amount of pedophiles in our area. Not enough to make a softball team or anything, but they certainly had a group of them around.
Was it known? In those days, we called them dirty old men, right? Mm-hmm. And it was called stranger danger. And it was dirty old men and don't talk to strangers. Or they were called flashes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah. I saw a flash once at a wine store when I was a kid. My uncle dropped me off at a wine store and a woman flashed me. It was a woman.
A woman?
Yeah.
And how old were you?
Probably 12.
But I remember, and were you upset by it?
I don't know. It was kind of like by I've had a affinity for Cabernet ever since. I know that, for sure, dude.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's just I remember being in this wine store, and if somebody brings up a damn Cabernet, I
Right,
fucking
because
get
you were
excited.
in a wine store when it...
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. And my uncle was driving me after, and I told him, and he went back to the wine store to look for the lady, dude. What a fucking pervert.
Because he wanted to see?
For sure. He's a pervert, dude. And his wife was on pills, too.
What was she wearing?
Just a kind of a coat or something and nothing under.
Was she a customer in the store or she worked there?
I didn't look and see if she had a receipt or anything on her. I know she was not. I don't think she did not seem like an employee. So I think she was just somebody traveling around showing her body to children, you know.
Did you like it?
I was pretty...
Or were you confused by it? Were you upset?
I don't think I was upset. I think I was like, all right.
All right, then.
Oh, well.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if you know what I felt like now that I felt like I didn't know if I was supposed to do something. Like, am I supposed to do something now? And then I felt like I didn't respond quick enough to maybe if I was supposed to do something. And then I felt bad about myself.
A cousin of mine this is his story to tell, but I'll tell it anyway. He was in Washington, D.C., not that that matters.
Oh, so there was a lot of pedophiles over there.
And a guy called him over to his car, him and his friend. I guess they would have been maybe 11 or 12. And the guy was in his car and he was exposing himself here in his lap. Mm-hmm. But you know how things happen quick, and it was so decontextualized. My cousin thought that he was showing him his gerbil. So he was like, oh, that's nice. Like that's cute. And then they went off. And then afterwards they were like, hang on, that wasn't a gerbil. But you just wonder whether that was the reaction the guy was hoping for. Yeah. You know, oh, that's nice. Or whether he would have preferred they were a little freaked out.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Did I call my penis a gerbil?
Yeah.
What an asshole.
In a way, like, that was the best reaction because it didn't faze him.
Yeah.
I had a guy come up to me once, and this was when I was 12, and I was outside a W.H. Smith in Putney, and he's like, and I used to like smiling at older people. I just thought it was...
Yeah, you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and like, they're nice and you're nice, and sometimes they'll give you a little bit of money, like, here's 10p for being a good boy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. He's like butterscotch or something.
Yeah, go get yourself some sweets, and then you go, oh, I can't take that. No, yes, you can.
Yes, you can,
and then,
boy. My family's all dead.
Yeah, I would. You go and take 10. Here's another 20p, and go buy yourself some sweets. But this guy was like, I smiled at him, and he said, I bet you've got a big one.
Nuh-uh.
I said, I was still smiling because I hadn't taken it in. I said, I bet you've got a big one with lots of hairs on.
Oh.
And I smiled, and then I went off, and then I was like, eh. And yeah, I was quite upset by it.
We used to have a dude, he'd give you $10, right? And he'd be like 40 feet away. He would show you his butthole, and all you had to do was look at it.
Yeah.
And you got the $10.
Isn't that that's a lot of money, too.
I thought it was a crazy amount of money. We're like, yeah. Come back tomorrow, dude.
How long would he be standing there for? It was just a quick, like, okay. Or how did you know when he'd finished?
He wasn't touching himself. He would kind of bend over and pull his buttocks apart.
Yeah.
And that's how he would see us and make sure that we were looking.
Through your legs?
Through his legs, yeah. And we would kind of...
Through his legs,
He would show us his butthole.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
And you'd have to just do that. And then, you got the $10. So
I had
we had a lot of gays that would drug-induced homosexuality in our area, and they would happen behind like the rest areas along the interstate, and the men back there would get in the river back there and make out and be high on drugs.
Were they doing it for the drugs, or were they already gay?
I think it was a mix.
It was a big mix
because it seemed like guys that maybe
a lot of that stuff's fluid, like
yes.
guys in prison, right? And then you're like, well. There's no gay men in prison, really. I mean, they're all gay. There's no straight men.
Depends on how you look.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah, you might be in, Sherwood, or where did Christopher Robin live? What was that place called?
Sherwood Forest.
Oh,
Robin Hood, yeah.
You might be in the 100-acre wood. But
100-acre wood, okay.
Yeah, but you might not be I don't know. I had a good analogy. I can't figure it out.
But I went to the doctor once because my bum was itchy. And it was a few weeks went by, and then it was still itchy, and I was like, "This is weird. Like I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with it." You Google it, and I couldn't find it. So I went to the doctor, and I said, I've got a very itchy bum, and I think he was French, but he said, I'll take a look at it, and then he looked at it, and then that's already quite embarrassing.
Oh, the worst.
And then I had the strong impression that he thought there was nothing, he couldn't see anything wrong with it. So I had the strong impression he thought I was just doing it for thrills.
Oh.
And then what am I supposed to do about it? He said, I can't see anything. I said, okay, well, thanks for taking a look. And it was such an unsatisfactory encounter.
Of course. And you can't call later and be like, hey, can you let me talk to that guy again?
Apologize.
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, look, man, there was nothing weird. Because then that's weird.
Yeah.
It's so hard to follow up.
Have you ever had testicle problems where they have to look at your balls and then...
No, I had erection problems though, where they would like shoot this stuff into your wiener to see if it worked good or not. And
really?
It works immediately, but but literally the guy's like with a needle just right into your wiener. And it is harrowing, dude.
Do you know why you had that?
Just a lot of stage fright, just fright from being a kid, just constant nervousness, you know? And it would just like, yeah, that was harrowing, dude.
So they just needed to find out that it worked.
They want to know that it like the ballast tanks or whatever work, you know? And so they would shoot it up. And you're like, oh, it works. So it's in my head. It's not in my body, you know?
And was it okay after that?
Yeah, it was hit or miss for a couple of years, but it got better. Past few years, it's gotten better. Just you get older, things wear off. Even like you're saying, like your desire, all of that confusion, all the fucking, you don't know. The paint comes off the car and you're like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll just keep driving it.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Some porn performers use that. You know,
oh, yeah, shooting them up.
They shoot it up. Like, because that works every time and it's quick.
Oh, I would hate that though.
But they used to. I don't think they do. I think now the porn industry is so, like, it's all OnlyFans and private people and the big set where there's pressure on and people are standing around. I did a documentary way back, one of the first episodes of my series, Weird Weekends, and we followed a young guy called JJ on his first big shoot. And I'd read a lot about how people get anxiety, and then everyone's standing around thinking, like, we can't shoot anything until you basically...
JJ gets ready to rock.
Get wood, that's the term. And we were like, we're going to be there filming. Okay, JJ. And I didn't mean really to put a hex on him, but because of the nature of documentary filmmaking, you were sort of slightly, I don't know if even hoping is a strong word, but you are aware that you're going to, you're going to get a better scene if he fails to get wood. And there he was, and he couldn't get wood.
Couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, was he talking to it? That's the worst when you start talking to your own penis.
He was kind of, I don't think he was talking to it, but I remember a lot of the people, he was trying to get something going and it was just not happening.
God, I've been there,
What
buddy.
a nightmare. And, you know.
But nothing on the line. Like he had something on the line.
That's him more
here.
recently.
Yeah, he looks
I
great.
saw him again. He was living in Ukraine then, I think. It was about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years. But back then he was telling me about his techniques, and he'd done 3 scenes, and this was his first. He didn't want to mess up on his first big studio shoot.
It was his first big one.
Yeah, it was a sad situation.
That's a tough go. There was one thing I wanted to ask you about before we leave. Oh, they just had a social media ban. They wanted to put a social media disclaimer. I was looking at this. I want to see what you thought about this, Louis. Can you see that in the news articles? There's a Surgeon General's warning on social media. Can you open that up?
I heard about this. Yeah, is that here or in America or both?
Not sure.
They're basically campaigning to put a surgeon's advisory or a kind of health warning. Mm-hmm. A Surgeon General demands warning label on social media apps, and they're trying to make it more sort of child-proof, so that actually 13-year-old, because you can get it, like my 8-year-old got on TikTok when we weren't paying attention. We were on holiday. He started a TikTok account, and then he was going viral. We didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
We were
Jesus,
just in a restaurant in Greece, talking about this and that. We thought he was just playing on his iPad or something. And then the next morning, like, they came down, they're like, he's gone. My older kids were like, he's gone viral on his TikTok. And there was a picture, and he filmed himself going blah, 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 making a weird, like he obviously liked seeing himself. So he was opening and closing his mouth, going, all right. And he goes, I like Roblox. was making a shape with his mouth. And then for some reason, it kind of lit up TikTok. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just...
Because I guess you don't see many 8-year-olds on there, right?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, you're like, who gave him this? How did he do
People were
it?
giving him bad reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like he was getting like tens of thousands, like more than a lot of stuff gets on TV.
Yeah.
And people would say, and then one guy was like, don't harsh on the guy, he just be vibing. Like kind of defending his integrity and the quality of his content.
That's crazy. The kid just started.
He was only his like third post. But I'm also thinking, it's like having a portal in your pocket, like, or in your front room. If you have like 1 million or a couple of million social media followers, and then you have a few drinks, I often think it's a bit like if you had a balcony outside your front room and you could wander out, and any time there's 2 million people standing outside, so you could just, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show them my wiener. You could do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to show them. I'm going to tell them what's up. I'm going to tell them how I feel right now.
Yeah, I got a great joke. This is funny. Like you can, and that's a horrendous. I accidentally, like, also there's famous people in your phone and you go like, okay, Siri, or you use the thing and it goes beep, beep, and like, I'm going to send a text to Bill Clinton. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have his number, but some famous person, right? And you're one thumb click away from
saying something crazy. And what if it started to do it? What if it started just be like, you know what? Fuck these people. Yeah. The algorithm, whatever. Yeah. I mean, we're already calling it an algorithm. We're already calling it artificial
intelligence. Kids do inappropriate. I'm not going to call it anything, but kids they think it's funny to do inappropriate stuff. Right?
Yeah.
That's part of being a kid. Like they have a bath together and they even... they have a phone and they think it's fun, like they take a picture of, maybe one of them takes a picture of his younger brother naked or something. I'm speaking hypothetically.
Of course.
And maybe they zoom in on his wiener. His willy. They think it's funny, like, because they can show it to you or like to their, other brother or something, like, look what I did. But then one click, like, or they have your social media account, they put that on social media.
Now you're a pedophile and you'll go to jail.
Not even joking, right? That would be, I'd be put in prison for that.
And what court is going to believe, oh, yeah,
I didn't do
my
that.
son took a picture of his brother's wiener and then he posted it.
Exactly.
Like, your 4-year-old son did this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, that's
at the risk. And then one thing like that is potentially career ending.
And what if the actual owners of these corporations, if they wanted to, they could just post something on your fucking account.
They can hack into you're clicking all those... what are the terms and conditions? You tick the one in Samsung. It was like, you have the permission to listen to everything I say.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the smart TV? And they were stockpiling everything you said. Their only get out was, we're not listening to it. We'll only listen to it if you get into trouble, like if the president thinks you're a spy, or a terrorist. But other than that, don't worry. We're just collecting it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fine then.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's still going. That isn't even a conspiracy theory, I don't think.
Oh, I don't know. Did Samsung? Can you bring that up, man? Well, you know what? One of my beliefs is that a lot of pornography sites are able to record you while you're watching pornography.
Yes.
So that's how a lot of these people get compromised, I think, for all types of things, is because they have video of everybody.
Your TV's spying on you, but you can stop it.
On newer Samsung sets, go to settings, support, scroll down to terms and policies. Here you can turn off viewing information services, internet-based advertising.
You can stop it, yeah, but tell me how many people are going to click through all the menus to figure out.
I just read how to do it, and I'm still not going to do it.
Exactly.
So that's
you don't even read the bit that's like, quick start. Here's the thing. You just like put the batteries in, and if you can't figure it out with on its own, then you get someone else to figure it out.
You assume it doesn't work. Well, even with having a child, people will have a child, not even read anything about them, and just take it home from the fucking hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. There's no manual, but you should do some research.
You should do some research.
They're not spying on you, though. Or maybe they are. That's when you know you're fully schizophrenic, is when you think your children are.
Oh yeah, there's a Shane Moss is a great comedian who he'd done a lot of psychedelics, and he wanted to do a documentary while he was on psychedelics. But as he was taking them, he got like further and further down the hole of them, and he started to think that the camera crew that he'd hired was spying and working against him. Yeah. So now he started leaving clues to the camera crew, so whoever would be watching this on the other side would be able to come and help him.
But to be fair, it would be quite normal. That sounds quite normal to think that. Like, I don't fully trust any crew, any team I work with. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you did something like horrific, in a weird way, you would expect them to expose you, right?
Right. There's a part of them that would. You'd hopefully hope that they wouldn't.
If they caught you, they were doing a documentary about you and they caught you looking at animal porn or something.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's a better story, and maybe they should be like thinking about, we need to do this, like uncover. Suddenly their allegiance changes. It's no longer about morning sex, right? The documentary about morning sex. This is more. We did go to like 60 Minutes and think we have Theo Von looking at
animal pornography.
Extreme animal porn.
Well, so you can just go to any dog park and watch it for a little bit.
For free.
It's not the close-ups you want.
Or David Attenborough, right? Yeah. That's basically what nature programs are.
Oh, the snowfinch. Did you meet him?
I have met him. I interviewed him, not for TV, but for a magazine. Yeah.
What a voice of the times,
Great voice, yeah. Soon it will die. It will be weeks before it feeds again. I learned a lot from how sparing he is. Like, he uses the minimum amount of words in his voiceover. It's winter. The prawns are feeding. Soon they will die. You know, like he just doesn't say anything extra. And there'll be some little rye, and then time for a nap. You know, like you just throw in a little, kind of like a little bit of light irony. There he is. Yeah, that was when I still had my beard. Look at that. That was peak me when I had like a beard. Oh, I had a little gray. That was probably right at the beginning of, like, I was 2 years before the rot set in.
Had you met Nancy then?
I was with Nancy. At least she got to be with me during the golden years.
That's what counts, man.
Yeah.
Well, you have a love in your life. That's nice, man.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I feel very lucky.
Louis, thank you so much, man.
Oh, man, it's a real privilege. I really feel it's a thrill being here, for real.
Yeah, it's really been nice, man. So many people were fascinated that we were going to be able to have you hang out with us. And so a lot of women, too. Loads.
For real?
Wow. Loads of women. Don't tell Nancy.
Me. No, that's nice to hear that. It's nice to be, what's the word? Like, obviously I'm not on the menu, but, or I'm on the menu, but I'm not in stock, or I don't know what the metaphor is.
The market price is very high.
Well, the chef doesn't make that anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. But maybe for special occasions.
Yeah, there we go. I love your attitude.
No, that's a joke. I'm fully...
No, that's a joke, Nancy, and you enjoy your crisps, miss.
Yes.
I'm sure you're a lovely lady, and hope we get to meet you one day. Louis, thank you so much for your time. Your Theo. Podcast every week is just the Louis Theroux podcast.
The Louis Theroux podcast, yeah, on Spotify, and Tell Them You Love Me is on Netflix. And
Tell Them You Love Me is it's crazy. There's a lot of little things I felt during it. I was like, man, do I feel this? Or what do I know here? It was cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out. Nick August Perner, I mentioned him. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the rest of your stay.
Will do, man.
Have fun.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best, and I'll let you know next time I come in town, man. I'll have to catch up on your pod next time.
That would be nice. Yeah, would be a reciprocal deal. I'd love to have you on.
That's very fair, man. Thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you for yours.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh.